my time. Don't say I never told you. Go, get out of my mind. I refuse to be your soldier. Waste my time.
A collaboration with ESPA, and some changes to vehicle camo netting. All this and more as we dive into the Update 36.2 patch report. First up, Miramar is getting a visit from the K-pop group ESPA. All across the Badlands, you'll find concert venues, decor, and other visuals based on the group. Many other maps have ESPA visuals, such as themed care packages and planes as well. There's also an emote stage on the starting island of every 8x8 map, for you to perform some of their most iconic tracks, including their latest hit. Next up, vehicle camo netting is seeing a durability improvement and is being added to Rondo and Tago this update as well. The improved durability only applies to bullet damage, and there are still some conditions in which the netting is instantly destroyed, so check out the patch notes for full details. The clan system is also getting some love. There are new ways to show off your achievements, including a new weekly ranking page, along with new clan tag plates. Full details in the patch notes. There's also a new Survivor Pass. Regions with duo mode can now choose one-man duo in normal and ranked. And we've tackled some bugs, so be sure to check out the patch notes for details on everything. Update 36.2 is here, so park the car in a safe spot and get ready to rock out with ESPA. We'll see you on the battlegrounds.
Have you ever imagined creating your own PUBG game mode? Well, now with UGC Alpha, that imagination becomes real. All Plus users can create UGC Alpha sessions. Getting started is simple. Just go to Custom Match, UGC Alpha tab, then create your own session or join a friend's. By default, only the host can edit the mode, but editing permission can be granted to participants through settings. With UGC Alpha, you can place props, build custom maps, and set your own game rules. Anyone can join and play, up to 100 players per session. Want a simple but challenging parkour mode? Or maybe a chaotic deathmatch? You make the rules. You can save your creations anytime, or load them up later to keep building, even if it's not your mode. If you find a fun session while playing, just hit Save As and keep a copy for yourself. Need a head start? Try one of the official sample modes provided in-game. In the next video, we'll dive into object placement, movement controls, and how to bring your map to life. You can use the standard WASD keys to walk around. Double-tap the spacebar to switch to flying mode. Tap C to descend and space again to go up. Hit B to enter build mode. Now you can start placing props and devices anywhere on the map. To open the full editor, press P to launch the Edit Manager. Here, you'll see all available props, from walls and stairs to full buildings. Click any object, then press 0 to 9 to assign it to a quick slot. You can now press that key to place the object instantly. Need to fine-tune? Use E and R to rotate or scale. Use F and G to adjust distance. Press X to lock to axes, and Y to ignore collision. Want to test gravity? Just hit T to toggle gravity on your object. You can also copy, delete, or multi-select with simple mouse clicks and hotkeys. Next up, we'll show you how to set the rules of your game. Rounds, respawns, teams, you control it all. Let's dive into the rules setting. Press P to open the Edit Manager, then switch to the Rule Set tab. Here, you can fully customize your game logic. Set the number of rounds. Choose a score limit or time limit to end each round. Define how many teams play, anywhere from 2 to 100. Set team size, 1 to 10 players per team. Enable or disable respawn, and set its cooldown timer. Add invincibility after respawn for smoother gameplay. By enabling fill test players, you can spawn dummy bots to test whether your custom mode is functioning properly. If you'd like to play a solo game instead of a team match, simply adjust the team count and team size settings in the rule setting menu. For example, if you want a 100-player free-for-all solo match, set team count to 100 and team size to 1. Next up, we'll introduce the devices. Let's dive into the device setting. Devices are the logic blocks of your custom mode. They make things spawn, trigger, score, teleport, explode, and way more. Let's start with the core 4. The following 4 devices are essential for creating a basic game mode. Player spawn device controls where players appear. Player event device reacts to kills, survival, or any player action. Score manager device gives or removes score based on events. Round event device resets scores at the start of a new round. There are a variety of devices you can use, like triggering a red zone or setting background music. Feel free to get creative and use them however you like to build a fun and exciting mode. Trigger is when a device sends a signal to another device to activate it. For example, if you configure an enemy kill event in the player event device and connect it to the score manager device via the trigger tab, the player's score will increase when they get a kill. On the other hand, action is when a device receives a signal from another device to activate itself. If you set the player event device as the action target of a change score in the score manager device, the change score will be triggered by the signal sent from the player event device. Coming up next, we'll build a sample mode from start to finish so you can see how it all fits together.
Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. This year, we're introducing structured competitive play in third-person perspective mode for players of all ranks, levels, and ability. Here's how it works in EMEA and Americas. PUBG Players Tour competition is held in 2-week phases. Each week, you and your squad can compete in player scrims. Think of these as a great alternative to ranked play. Each day of scrims will feature a variety of maps, with defined team and lobby sizes to ensure a balanced best-of-3 rounds. Teams will earn points based on their performance, and daily leaderboards will track their progress. When the scrims are over, the top teams will qualify for the PUBG Players Tour Cups, where they will be joined by up to 10 invited teams, featuring some of the best players in the region. Players Cup leaderboards will track team performances across 2 days of play, with the top 8 squads progressing to the final round of competition. Players Masters are the pinnacle of the PUBG Players Tournament. 8 teams from each of the 2 cups will engage in fierce competition for a huge prize pool in each region across the PUBG Players Tour season. And for times when a Players Masters isn't scheduled, you can still get your PUBG Players Tour fix with Super Cups. These work just like Masters events, where again, 16 teams, 8 from each of the 2 previous Players Cups, compete for a share of the total cash prize pool. Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. You know the game. Be a player.
Welcome back, everybody, to the PUBG Players Tour. It is the Players Cup, and tonight is the final opportunity for those teams to qualify for our second to last Masters now, with a $20,000 prize pool on the line this weekend. But to get to that point, we have to decide which 8 teams are going to be qualifying through. My name is Chunks. I am joined once again by Gibson. And Gibson, I gotta say, last night's matches, a little bit surprising to a certain extent. I mean, potentially dangerous, really popped off.
Yeah, they've always been that kind of a team all the way through PAS, where it is feast or famine, right? They'll have a couple of really good maps and nothing will happen. But last night, they found a level of consistency that I'm just not used to seeing from that roster. I think they ended up with, what, 55 plus points on the night. They're more than happy with that tally. But other things to keep an eye on, you know, Al-Qudsiya, apart from that last map, they never really got going. Liquid only really had 2 good maps last night, so a lot of these teams didn't really have, especially the teams coming back from EWC, didn't quite have the impact on the lobby that they would have wanted to.
No, let's take a reminder of how these teams all got here. We have 8 teams that have already qualified into the Masters by playing through the scrims, then playing through the Players Cup. That's where we're at right now. Again, the top 8 teams are going to move through to that Masters for the $20,000 prize pool. And remember, when that Masters is done, you can also get yourself signed up to play in these scrims and potentially be here playing for a bit of cash. And I got to say, you know, there is so much on the line for these teams tonight going into that Masters. But of course, there's only 4 games to make something happen now.
Yeah, 4 maps, that's not a lot of points. And remember, we're not quite using the old super format of top 8 teams get points. It's a lot fewer than that, but the winner will still get 10 points per map. But I guess, Chunks, the big thing to remember is that 5 teams taking part have already qualified. So that means that there's 8 spots up for grabs, which in reality means only 3, I think it's what, 3-4 teams are not going to get over the line if the top 5, you know, if you take those top 5 out of it.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to be looking down at that bottom 3 right now. Phoenix, Enemy, Tung Tung Sahur have all got to really step things up, because there is a bit of a gap. There's 2 teams that have already qualified, blocking you off from 11th place, which as it stands is the cutoff. Now, we say that, but if No Way, Toyo, LG, they're able to have a good enough performance, then they could potentially kick a team like 55 or AK out of the top 8. So it's going to be a really interesting watch, but I think potentially Dangerous are going to be comfortable that they're going to be at least in the top 8, but you can see that little gold mark next to the name. They've already qualified. They are fighting for first place. They are fighting for the lion's share of the prize pool, which tonight is going to be $400. Second place will take home $300. Third place with $200, and fourth place with $100.
Let's not forget, though, the team that's definitely in for a scrap tonight will be LG. Bizzler not playing, of course. It looks like they have Michael on board for this run of the Players Masters and Players Cup, and they've got to get some work going tonight because they did not get as many points as they would have liked. Here are your qualified teams to the Masters, of course. So teams that aren't playing tonight are Bestia, Bandits, and Furia. They'll be saying thank you very much, and they will see us on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But the teams that are on that list, right? Mira, who have already qualified, they didn't have a great day. Noego, they've not had the best day either. But boy, oh boy, have 55 and PD been playing well.
Yeah, they really have, and we got to remember, all those partner teams, they weren't taking part last week. They were away at the International LAN event. They are now back, so it means that they haven't had the chance to qualify. It really makes things tricky for those teams that maybe come through the scrims, maybe aren't quite as experienced in this lobby. They now have to really go against some of the best, so it's going to be interesting to see how teams like Falcons, like Liquid, are able to keep that momentum going on. But it's Miramar coming up to kick things off. I'm going to give you a little hint on the playing path. It's a little bit far to the west, and that's something that we've seen Mira use to their advantage quite a lot, where they take those early game kills, and right now they really need to.
I want to see some Miramar again, because when you and I are on the mic, usually they get something going on the first game of tonight, but yesterday was not their day. But if you are viewing at home and you also want to keep an eye on the map at all times, exclamation map, and keep it up on your second screen, or if you've got a device sitting on the side, make sure to keep an eye on that. It'll give you a best idea of all the movements that some of these teams are doing. And of course, don't forget, this is the qualify for the $20,000 Masters tournament that is on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. And Chunks, if you look even further ahead, we got PAS right around the corner as well, where the best teams of the Americas will be trying to represent the region in the upcoming PGSs.
Yeah, it's all about getting that practice in, and I think that's the beauty of the Players Tour. Granted, it's third person, it's a little bit different, but it's getting the reps in. Playing for a prize is a whole different beast than playing scrims, because we've seen how off the rails that can go at times. So it's going to be interesting to see how things unfold tonight, see which teams are really going to stand out. Now, I will mention, we touched on it earlier, LG, they're going to be playing with Michael. From my understanding, this is a trial. This isn't a permanent move, but I think the implication of them trialing a player like Michael might mean that Bizzler has made a permanent move away. So I think that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on going forward.
Yeah, Bizzler, of course, one of my favorite players in the Americas. So I'm sure he'll be, whether or not he stays at LG or if he goes elsewhere, he'll be a hell of an addition. But AKA hunting down DNL. The SKS can be excellent and in essence a shotgun at close range. But you may have an SL or SKS, but when you've got a micro Uzi on the other side, like Nanu had, that'll be an easy first knock, but you've still got to deal with Vinny, who's not too far away with a Vector.
I think we have to bear in mind as well, we are playing on the live server, which means that rate of fire has now dropped for the SKS, as Vinny actually knocks his own teammate there. Not going to be able to find... Sorry, he didn't. That was the opposing team. The logos are quite similar. I got myself confused. So he will be able to find the opening knock over onto DZ as Nanu tries to make something happen here using that micro Uzi, uses that third person to peek over the top, but it's now a 3 versus 1. Lopez down low, but he's still able to find the kill.
Yeah, the rest of the team over by Hacienda and further south. So for AKA, you're going to lose 2 players. No way we'll get everybody back on their feet. But I think the bigger issue for AKA is with the circle being what it is, the likelihood of getting those blue chips is going to be incredibly difficult because it's near the center of the circle. So even if no way leave this position, somebody else will look to fill the spot. So AKA, for at least the short term, maybe even the long term of this game, we'll have to play with just the 2.
It's a question of now whether they can recall their teammates or not. Obviously, being a little bit split up will make it more difficult to regroup, but I think it all comes down to how No Way decide to play this, whether they want to rotate out of this position, when they're happy with it in the early game. I mean, granted, they're going to have good prio, and really, Gibson, I'm just setting you up to talk about the inverse donut when that inevitably happens.
It's like my thing, isn't it? It
is. When you were casting PNC, I was waiting to hear it. I think you only brought it up once, though.
I knew you were waiting for it, you see. You got to keep the people excited for it. And whenever I came out with that word of wisdom, I think everybody, they erupted into cheers and they were excited to hear it. But we spoke about it. No Way. Leave that compound for at least the short term. They've moved up to water treatment, where they are going to share this position with Resmi, who honestly had a very hit and miss day. A 2-2 split being held for them. The other 2 members a little further south from this point. So Resmi, they got to be careful that they don't lose anybody from this position.
Yeah, it looks like Resmi are going to try and move away from this one. It's not a bad decision to make. Lopez will make it a little bit harder by popping that buggy tire. Zico going to be in a tricky position. The sandstorm is close, but they're still able to get good lines of sight, at least for now. This could be his opportunity to move, but it's too late because Lopez, he's watching it and he lands the spray.
Yeah, and I think the sandstorm comes in at a good time. If No Way decide they want to close that gap, but I think Zico will be abandoned for now unless the rest of Resmi elect to push this way. So we'll keep an eye on the map, see what happens from this point on. Elsewhere around the circle... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, speaking of keeping an eye on the map, it actually looks like Team Liquid are opting to go with an EP instead of using a vehicle. I imagine that's the same thing you were going to say. We're just so in sync, Gibson. As yeah, they're going to be heading straight in. And I always find it interesting how those EPs are used in Phase 1, because I think a lot of the time teams will get a little bit overconfident and think, okay, as long as we go dead center, we'll scout it out, we don't see anyone, let's just all 4-man onto it. And I think that can sometimes be detrimental to a team unless they're actually trying to get into the circle and immediately pick up vehicles from the center and make kind of a more standard rotate that way.
100%. Like, if I'm Team Liquid, I'm going as far north as I can with the possibility of picking up a vehicle and building my game from there. You don't want to find yourself stranded later on. However, there is the caveat that if you get a good good compound in the zone, cars will come to you. Fisher getting sprayed at by LFP as Mira look to kick off their Players Cup the right way. Didn't really go for them yesterday, so they're hoping day 2 can be exactly what they want and more. And speaking of stars, D for Alcudia. What a finish to the night he and Cowboy had yesterday.
Yeah, massive performance from D, but it could potentially go differently today. It seems like he is going to turn away. It looked for a second like he was heading over towards Resmi, but will make it up over to that compound. And a very powerful one as well. Really good sight lines out of here. Granted, it can be a little bit hard to keep those vehicle tires safe, but the fact that he's playing this as solo means the rest of the team should be able to group up over here. And Sam Crow is blowing up the Murado from Hacienda, and I'm not sure exactly why. Oh, it's got blue chips in, that's why.
Yeah, he's being mean. He's being a not very nice person. And now, if you're on the side of, I believe it was AKA, you ain't getting your teammates back inside the game. And you know what? All's fair in love and warfare and PUBG. And I have nothing against it. Like, you blow up those chips, you know that that's 2 players that aren't going to come back into the game. And it's also important to remember, Chunks, that if you don't blow up the blue chips and you take them with you, you're essentially a beacon. You're the players who own those chips can see where they are on the map at all times.
Spectro, he sees no way as they started sneaking up towards him. Didn't peek out. I think he knows that somebody from No Way is probably going to be covering that, but only a couple of shots came out of this compound. This might be a little bit of a bait coming out from Resmi, trying to take a single set of shots over towards the vehicle, almost baiting into the crash, and maybe they can strike as a team when only 2 players have moved in. But it's Haven that's going to be moving aggressively to try and get shots onto the Phoenix player.
Yeah, Phoenix on the wrong side of the leaderboard as well, being in the bottom 3, which means they've got 0 chance of qualifying if they stay where they are right now. Remember, essentially, 13 teams out of this lobby will be in the Masters. 3 teams will not make it. So all you gotta do is just do enough to not be bottom 3. Rock Esports, again, I cannot sing this team's praises enough. They've gone from strength to strength. The first PGS they attended, it wasn't the best performance in the world, and then a week later they regrouped themselves, they improved, they won some maps, then they went to EWC, they dominated the group stage, and they had a very good finals. So Rock going from strength to strength, getting better and better every single time we see them, and unfortunately Rock couldn't get that knock onto Emmy at the point that they seen him.
And a little bit of damage. So at least Toyo will turn away from this. Doesn't look like they're going to get too aggressive. I do wonder how they're going to approach this one as H-Win approaches enemies. Takes down Artray, tries to find losses in. Damage goes onto the vehicle, but not finding the player inside. Shrimsy trying to do the same, but needs to be careful not to expose himself from behind. It looks like enemy are just going to keep rotating away. So they should be able to get out of this one. Not unscathed, though, after losing Artray on the rotate.
Reminder for all the viewers at home as well, you did mention already, Chunks, that we are on the live server, so the DMRs have been nerfed, so don't be surprised if you see some of your favorite players rocking M16s as their secondary, or seeing players rock something else. Snakers is rocking Zig's World as he's going to take his head off his shoulders. Enemy crashing into Power Grid. Snakers stand strong, and LG need these points here, Chunks, but look at this barrage of nades being thrown up towards the roof.
Yeah, that's really good work from enemy, but they will be getting tagged up. It's actually going to be Pippa who takes down Anzera. Snakers might be able to find the nade kill, and yes, he does. Beautifully done as enemy just falling apart. Third party's coming in from Falcons from 55, but it doesn't matter because in the end, Snakers finished the job, and the circle, well, it's actually shifted the way of 55, so I imagine they're probably going to try and group up now as a 4-man.
55, of course, had a brilliant day yesterday. So as you said, they'll move through San Martin. You don't necessarily want to have to cross that city later inside the game. And I think the big difference between San Martin and the likes of Los Leones is because San Martin is so much smaller and in essence a little bit taller, with a lot more of the apartment buildings being enterable. It's a spot where maybe moving into it early gets you more advantages than moving into somewhere like Los Leones early. But Everywhere else around the map, Chunks teams are making their move. Resme going into San Martin. Mira rotating into that section of the map too. Let's see if Bieli is able to get a knock onto LFP. He's going to get the chance. The head's revealed and he finds the knock.
Really nice shots with that Mark 12, just not able to make it happen with the AUG, but now he's closing in for the flush, knows that Mirror are close, and a really good use of the BZ nade. It looks like it bounced a little bit awkwardly, so might not be able to find the flush, but it appears he's got a second one, and this one might be able to do the damage. Don't forget, Al Qudsi, they're over on the east, so they could also cause problems for Mirror, but it depends, because Fakeson and Haven are working together to set up a crossfire. Beautifully done. They're not backing off of this compound. They want to take it.
Yeah, Mira are never ones to fall off a fight. And the thing is, where are they supposed to go? Like, you think about the circle and what it is. Team Mira do not gain anything by backing off this. Spectro, he's pulling up to maybe help his teammate as they go down to the other side of San Martin, favoring the western front a little more, as LG will move in towards the city now as well. Fakeson will pick up that kill for Team Mira, but we've already got 4 teams now with a presence inside of San Martin, and 55 playing on the hills to the south. That gives you great views inside the city and protection from the back.
I do always wonder when we have a circle like this, we've got a couple of different res beacons that are potentially in play. If we keep going towards San Martin, are we going to see those used a bit more in the late game? Because it's something that we don't really see too often when we have kind of big open field endings where teams will actually use those res beacons later on in the game. But it definitely feels like, especially watching PNC, so many teams, when you had a city fight, would just be like, okay, let's get in a res beacon, let's get players down, we're probably going to be able to salvage some loot some bodies, and, well, no Lego, they have looted themselves a BRDM, and we saw how effective those can be yesterday.
Yeah, the BRDM can be both a blessing and a curse, as some teams feel the need to just focus their gameplay around it way too much. The best way to use the BRDM is to have one player be on a forward scout, keep a couple of repair kits in the back pocket, and just clear space and essentially be a scout for your side. But Chunks, we're getting ready for that next zone shift that's going to pop in about 3 seconds time. The cat is going to be put amongst the pigeons now.
Wow.
And it shifts south. And you could essentially wave bye-bye to San Martin. And I'm looking now at Falcons, and they are in a phenomenal spot.
Yeah, same being said for 55, though, as they're going to be in a great position to try and gatekeep teams from rotating through. With so many squads already committed on San Martin, you got to imagine there's going to be a lot of scraps here. But if you're one of those teams up to the north, how do you approach this? Power Grid and that eastern side, they're both very open to try and approach in from. So it'll be interesting to see how these teams go through it, whether they do just want to kind of backfill San Martin and try and fight their way through, or whether they want to go for a wider rotation.
Moving up towards Rock now is Noego, as Santa from up on high doesn't quite have a Panzer that he would have liked to have had to deal with that car moving. So he'll pop back inside his little bug bus and move further inside the circle. Elsewhere, Chunks, as you can see, you've got Rock moving in on this western side. Just a little further to the north of them, you'll see the rotate of Toyo. And I think Team Liquid, having taken that E-pickup, they're going to start rotating back towards the eastern side.
Yep, certainly seems that way from the direction they're heading, especially now that they've identified Mirror lighting them up from that northwestern side of San Martin. And I gotta say, even with the circle shifting so far down to the south, I think Mirror in a really good position as well, as long as they can hold out this crash from Toyo that's about to come in.
Yeah, Toyo playing their cards the way they want to. They're not going to rush in anything without getting full information. Santa, though, he'll rotate back. Look at the Souls must have a Panzer. The only reason I can think of Souls pushing up on the bike in this position is maybe he's got a Panzer, and he does. So this is what he's doing. He's coming up to target that, that BRDM. Oh my god, Souls, as quick as you could blink, Faravero is going to fall, and now he gets himself in a position to potentially fire off that Panzer. I love this little position swap by Rock.
I think that maybe No Lego have actually identified this from the way they're moving the BRDM back, but it might be too little too late as he gets ready to peek over the hill. He's stuck with the Org to try and take down Coda Kid, but he's also being lit up by Team Mirror, so they might be able to be the saving grace right now as Sol's prepping that Panzer. It's so quiet, it's hard to tell when it's sneaking up on you, so you better have it in your hand just in case it rolls up the hillside. I know I've been burned by that myself a few times as Sol's throws down the smoke, just grabbing that little bit of extra cover. It looks like No Lego are going to try and move away from this one.
Yeah, Souls continuing to peek the pink smoke, revealing the position of another one of the members. I think that is Coda Kid on the side of Noego. RBN went up for a little sneak peek, but not seeing anything he likes, will elect to rotate. And they are now moving towards the bowl that Toya were playing in. And Chunks, we have just gone back to San Martin.
Yeah, I think we both made the assumption we were going, you know, towards 55's position, dead center, but instead it hard shifts up to the north, and you can see Team Liquid, they were almost ready to rotate over to the east. They've completely switched that up now. Now, No Lego, sure, they got a BRDM, but surely in the city somebody is going to have a Panzer handy, so they need to be very careful, especially when you're rolling up on a player like D, who, yep, he's got a Panzer all ready to go.
Was that a Panzer in his pocket, or was he just happy to see them? Well, Chunks, the answer is both. As Noego get destroyed by the kid. 3 kills on the board for Alcudia. That's as easy a delivery of points as you're ever going to get.
Yeah, and plenty of loot to go with it as well. It's always a bonus, isn't it? Not like you need it in San Martin, but I mean, I guess you've got that extra bit of cover if you need it. Granted, the Panzer's probably taken that BRDM down low. And look at this. This is a dirty angle from D. It doesn't matter when Roth's able to find the nade anyway. Kickstart finding some shots of his own down towards No Way. No way that Vinny gets out of this one unless he has a smoke, because Kickstart is just waiting for him.
Yeah, and do you know, by the way, Chunks, what Panzerfaust actually means?
No, I'm intrigued.
It means tank fist. That's what it means. And it essentially does what it says in the tin. I know that the BRDM isn't quite a tank, it's an armored vehicle, but it essentially ruins it with that one spray. Roth takes a ton of damage and manages to get out of dodge as we jump into the fight a little bit further away up inside the apartments. Team Mira Chunks pushing on to Resmi as Valiant looks to hold the line with Spectro.
I should point out, by the way, Rock, you see them going down. They've just tried to use an EP to crash onto Alcudia, so they are just falling apart on this one. But we'll hop on board with Haven as he tries to clear through. He's looking out, but that third person used to peek around the corner. Valiant takes out one, follows it up with the second, and he finishes the job with the Mark 12. He annihilates Team Mirror, the one-man army of Valiant. We are so back.
Oh, it's so good to see Valiant. You know, the guy's got compounds that are named after him inside the Americas. Santa, if he keeps playing the way he's been playing, will one day have the same Blue Zone name. Should force Santa to peek around the corner, but Santa doesn't play those games. He gets the knock on to Cowboy. He will get downed by Rello in the end. But I think the big thing is for Alcudia, there's nobody putting pressure on, and that res should be brought on. 2 members on one side of the road, 2 players in the warehouse to the south of San Martin, and 55 providing overwatch from up above.
I can't help but notice, obviously everything is going on in San Martin. Falcons are now pushing over towards Karak's position on the south, and right as I say that, he's actually able to land a nade to slow things down and take down Kickstart. Tig will be there for support as the circle is centered up slightly to the west, but all in all, most teams are going to be happy with this current position. Halo now starting to sweep through as Sparking gets the opening knock onto D. The rest of Alcudia a little bit further back, so might have a little bit of respite for the time being. I don't expect Team Liquid to try and cross this unless they get an opening knock or two.
The far left corner flag of the football pitch in San Martin is essentially the center point of the circle. 55, they can provide overwatch now over everything that occurs, but Karak is still in that battle. Oranzira, he will find a member of Liquid as he looks inside the circle. Falcons did sustain a knock on the edge of the zone, but they should be able to get that res back in play. But 55 really should be able to get some points on the board from here.
You've got to think so, but you can't ignore the fact that Carax is so low down on the south right now, and he's got 2 Falcons players, Kickstart and Tiggleton, both sneaking up that hill that he's holding, so he needs to be very careful. Also, AKA, they're off to the east as well. The BRDM is going to be out of the fight, so it maybe provides them a little bit of cover from Resmi, who actually will be able to find Purdy Curdy anyway. Gets down behind it for a little bit of safety, but Valiate is going to try and toss out that nade, and if it's good, it will finish off at least Kurt, maybe find some more.
5 kills on the board already for Valiant as he looks to add some more. I'm surprised that 55 are not putting shots off towards these shields and making it a little bit more difficult for Resmi at this point in time. Member of Alcudsia, by the way, is Roth going for a res? Roth is attempting a res in the middle of the football field and nobody is moving this way. PD will try to close the gap, but 55 providing the best possible allies for Alcudsia. And yes, Alcudsia have got everybody back in the fight, but the question is, will you be able to find some loot to help yourself? He's going to land on top of his teammates, and D is back in the game.
Roth did go down, but it looks like he is now going to be back in the fight as Glock kicks off a fight of his own, taking down Necro. Carrie's also fallen, so Tuntun Shahor in a little bit of trouble. So's Tony, as Loki will be able to take him down. So Tuntun staying in as best they can. RNZ will get knocked now by Emmy as PD and everybody just seeming to swarm on the same compounds. It is brutal over here on the east, but Tuntun, the final players left up as Falcon try and make an aggression over towards Toyo.
Oh, great molly on top of Shrimsy. He's got to be careful. Another one's been doubled down, and Kickstar is going to drop his own molly. And the 2 players will go down in a blaze of glory. Kick is trying to get the res off into Tig, but if you're a member of Toyo, you're going to toss another molly or nade up inside that smoke. If it hits pay dirt, it could be perfect. You spray on up, but you're not going to find any Falcons with that one. You got to aim higher into the sky. They'll continue to climb the mountain. Now get out of the line of sight of Toyo. But Toyo know this is a real opportunity for them to take a powerful position inside the circle.
Falcons are struggling in this one. They are getting lit up by, I think it was Resmi from long range, obviously playing on the roof of that building is Valiate. So now Falcons being forced to expose themselves down to the south. It might have worked out at a perfect time, though, as Toyo seem to be disengaging from this fight, opting to wrap a little bit further west, but it's going to be difficult regardless, just as Liquid, they make a difficult push, but somehow not being punished yet. It looks like AKA and 55 both have eyes on this, so now Liquid just in a bit of a valley, getting absolutely lit up. Psycho takes down 2. Doodoo Gladiator finishes off another. Now only going to be Luke 12 left up, who's already been able to find himself a knock.
Doodoo picking up where he left off yesterday. Another couple of kills on the board for him as Liquid are going to get eliminated. Spectro picking up one of those kills for Resmi. 25 players left alive now with 9 teams up. Tung Tung Sahur's Loki is inside the blue as a res-off will begin between Doodoo Gladiator and Loki. And I think Loki will just be able, if he just waits a little second longer, if Doodoo makes a bit more noise, Loki will be able to take advantage. Loki, are you going to get your point? Yes, you are. Doodoo Gladiator taken down by a snake inside the blue. And just how valuable a point could that be for Tung Tung Sahur?
It's a good question. Not going to make it into placement. Remember, it's only the top 6 that now get placement. Adria looking out here for Toyo as Falcons try and make a move of their own, somehow avoiding being spotted by 55 Esports. And 55, for a team that had such a strong position, have now been really torn apart, only left with 2 players standing, and both of them spotted out by the duo of Falcons. Falcons still needing to be careful in case Toyo move over, but I think they committed too hard down to the south to try and rotate back in.
Yeah, Falcons now on the southern side of the circle. You've got the 55 not too far away. Alcudsia on the south side, but Emmy will get the knock on the kickstart. Toyo rotated their way back around and were able to find that knock, having fought with Falcons a little while ago. This is anybody's game. Phoenix, by the way, inside San Martin. They're going to toss the nade, but the first one's not going to be good enough, but the second one might certainly be. Valiant dropping down to 25 HP, but he's going to get Spectro back on his feet, and Resmi will live to fight another day here, Chunks. And
wow.
They need the points as well. And what a... Oh, my God.
That circle has worked out perfectly for Resmi and Phoenix now. They really don't have to do anything if they want to just focus on the placement points. They should be able to hold their position. I think it would be very unlikely that a team pushes onto them. That being said, Al-Qudsiyah, I'm not sure how much cover they actually have to work with on the side of this football pitch. And yes, it is a football pitch. I know it's an Americas tournament. As Tigleton looks out to try and find Karak in a bit of an aim battle, the BZ nade will come through over towards his teammate, preventing Kickstart from taking the peak and finding an angle.
Tigleton picking up another point for Falcons. 3 kills on the board for them. Remember, you think back to yesterday's Tago, they were able to win the game with 2 players alive, but it'll be a much tougher ask this time around. You've 55 not too far away. They're looking to get this kill, but at the same time, Toyo, they're wrapping around as well. They want to be the gatekeepers here. Yes, you'll see Al-Qudsiyah on the minimap, but they're not really going to be a factor on this fight just yet, Chunks. They're a lot further down as Karak will reveal his position, and that's just all good news for Toyo, and this nade might be even better.
Wow, that was perfectly placed onto Kickstart. It looked for a second like it was going to land short, but I think he expected a nade to come in, made the push proactively, and then got punished for it. So that was either a misplay on Kickstart's part or really well calculated and predicting what Kickstart was going to do from Karax. As Tigleton falls, Falcons out in 7th. Toyo now try and clean up this final 55 player.
Do my eyes deceive me, or did Karak pick up a DBS from inside a crate? I think I saw that DBS, and nade is going to get tossed on over. Capitan, he's got himself a crate weapon of his own. That P90 will be used to its advantage. Karak, though, he's going to throw the nade, and it's another perfect one. This time, Capitan targeted. Vox from LG. He'll find Emmy. Another good nade from Karak, and that is just problem after problem after problem for Toyo. And then Karak tries to get the flush off, but he should pick up those kills in the end.
Neptunes finishes off Karak as Toyo down low, not looking likely to get themselves the revive, and honestly, if you're Benya right now, not looking too likely to make it into the next zone, but we'll have to wait and see how things unfold. Voxic, Neptunes, each able to steal one of those points away. Well, the circle, it is centered up over on LG. They're still rocking a 2-2 split, and I think that this is intentional. Michael, Voxic, they can provide a little bit of a crossfire, make sure that those players from Toyo aren't going to be able to work down the hillside without at least getting spotted, and hopefully getting taken out if you're LG. Al-Qudsiyah using the vehicle, playing the wall for all it's worth, and it's worth a lot right now because LG don't have sightlines onto this. Gats is trying to find one, but just hasn't got it.
Something to point out as well is the fact that, yes, now that the DMRs have been nerfed, we're seeing on the other side of the road that VSS in the hands of, oh my god, I think it was actually Valiant that had it, but he will see his teammate Spectro get eliminated. But let's not rule out the impact that the VSS can now have. Yes, it gets the headshot bonus that DMRs have, but it's full auto, it is quiet as hell, and it can do serious damage from this type of range. So let's not rule out Valiant doing anything just yet, but I've just seen the shift. That is not good at all for Valiant.
It really is not. I mean, look, we've seen the VSS used to great effect yesterday. So we'll see if the same can happen today. Benya got himself a vehicle. Just going to try and send it. Valiant trying to send some shots over towards Cowboy with that VSS. He's got no smokes to work with here. So I guess with Benya going down, he's at least made it into the top 4, but this is going to be a near impossible rotate to make. Neptunes actually finds a knock onto one of the LG players as Resmi Valiant doesn't survive. Neptunes goes down to the zone. I mean, I guess the rest of the team are in here, but that's a bold jump to make when the blue is already on your back.
I think he might have misread the drop that he had ahead of him as he got his timing and the drop off. He gets knocked in this one, so Phoenix with 2 players left up. Al-Qudsiyah still alive. They need to make the crossing to LG. 3v2. 3v3, because D will be back on his feet, having been brought back into the game by Roth, who sacrificed himself so he could take the king, I guess, is the quote from a film that a few people know pretty well. But Snakers, he'll look to hold out Phoenix as Kufas is right up against the wall, but that smoke should allow Pachita to at least get closer to LG.
This is really impressive from Phoenix, and then landing those smokes perfectly. Kufa's actually going to go down, but Alcudia, they've used this Q to start making their push. Remember, we're down to a dot. It's going to be inside of LG's buildings. They, in a way, have an advantage, but also they're a 3-man taking on 4 different players between 2 different teams. Vegeta now just using that smoke for any remaining cover as the blue is going to be on his back. I imagine that you maybe want to make the rush sooner than he has, because that smoke's going to dissipate and the one in front of you is already gone, so Michael is just going to be holding it. You see him with the Molotov, throws it out at the worst possible time, because Vegeta, he's actually made the push through. Michael will come out on top, find the headshot. Now it's down to a 3 versus 3.
6 kills and guaranteed second place. Much better for LG, but they've still got to deal with a 3-man of Alcudia. Like you said, center point is held, but LG are going to take the roof, and that actually puts them at serious risk from the throwables from Alcudia. Snakers down to 50 HP. Another molly thrown up on top of the roof, and I think it went a little bit too far that time, Chunks, but if Alcudia, if they have jammer packs or they play this right, they have every bit as much a chance of winning this game as LG.
I love what LG are doing, though. They've saved the flashes until they think that Alcudia are making a push. Michael's still going to be anchoring down there. Flashbang will land onto Michael. He's going to drop down prone, trying to catch these players off guard now. Snakers trying to provide that fire support. It's Michael who opens things up and takes down Rello. D also able to find one in the trade, but Gat's quick to finish off the job. Cowboy, the final player left up. That blue is closing in. He's not got long to make it up the stairs. Needs to send it, but the jammer pack coming in clutch right now, not taking any damage. Goes to the jump shot, but it's not enough as Gats finish the job, and it's LG that get themselves a 9-kill win, but Alcudia working hard to make it to the late game.
LG more than doubling their point tally from yesterday. 19 on the board will rocket them onto the left side of the leaderboard and a little bit closer to the Masters this weekend, where $20,000 is up for grabs. Shout out to Alcudia, they get second place, plenty of points on the board for them, and they played that circle very, very well indeed as well. But interesting to point out, Chunks, a couple of the teams that needed to play well tonight getting points at the very start. LG doing it, Phoenix as well, not a lot of kills on the board, but getting inside the top 3, all those points matter.
Yeah, it's such a tight leaderboard right now. Anyone down in the bottom half can make a change. But I have a question, Gibson, and I'm not sure whether you're going to be able to answer this, but in my mind, Cowboy had a jammer pack. We saw that because he didn't take any blue damage. If he had decided to, instead of taking the fight, just sat downstairs underneath the players from LG, gone for the med battle, surely that jammer pack would have come in clutch just enough to be able to save the day. Or do you think that the damage would have come through too quickly for him to be able to pop the heal off? Because obviously he wasn't full HP. He didn't have a med kit as far as I could tell. So he would need to somehow take a little bit of damage before he would be able to hit that med and time it properly so he could kind of win the med battle. Maybe I'm thinking too deep into these things, though.
There's about a couple of factors that you gotta consider, right? First off, Cowboy is a naturally aggressive player, so you take that out of him, you lose that bit of special play that he has. Secondly, he doesn't know if LG have got jammer packs as well. And if you get into a heal off, you just never know if somebody's timing is a little bit better. And the third thing you gotta think about is if he goes up there and makes that play, instead of getting 10 points for a win that you would get if he just built one on the heal off, he was trying to get 13 points by getting those kills onto LG. So I have no issues whatsoever with the way that was played. But let's have a look at our overall leaderboard. Falcons up there, Alcudia move up to 3rd. Chunks, one game moved LG from the right side of the leaderboard into 5th place.
It shows just how tight things are and how one game can change everything. But for me, the big shocker is Team Mirror are down in 13th place. I think this is the lowest we've actually seen them ranked on the leaderboard so far in the Players Tour.
Yeah, it's not like them. It really isn't. And last week they were incredible, but I guess sometimes it is really hard to sustain that success, and we'll see how they perform. But Chunks, I don't know about you, but I think we should jump into a very quick break. When we come back, we'll have game number 2, the halfway point of the night, the 3/4 way of this Players Cup. We'll see you guys in a few minutes.
A collaboration with Espa, and some changes to vehicle camo netting. All this and more as we dive into the update 36.2 patch report. First up, Miramar's getting a visit from the K-pop group Espa. All across the Badlands, you'll find concert venues, decor, and other visuals based on the group. Many other maps have Espa visuals, such as themed care packages and planes as well. There's also an emote stage on the starting island of every 8x8 map for you to perform some of their most iconic tracks, including their latest hit. Next up, vehicle camo netting is seeing a durability improvement and is being added to Rondo and Tago this update as well. The improved durability only applies to bullet damage, and there are still some conditions in which the netting is instantly destroyed, so check out the patch notes for full details. The clan system is also getting some love. There are new ways to show off your achievements, including a new weekly ranking page, along with new clan tag plates. Full details in the patch notes. There's also a new Survivor Pass. Regions with duo mode can now choose one-man duo in normal and ranked. And we've tackled some bugs, so be sure to check out the patch notes for details on everything. Update 36.2 is here, so park the car in a safe spot and get ready to rock out with Espa. We'll see you on the battlegrounds.
And we are back with game number 2 of the evening, heading over to Tago with a slightly eastern plane path. The big question for me, though, Gibson, has to be that circle, because I feel like when we get circles, when we get plane paths like this, I'd say about half of them end up splitting across that river, and that is always exciting to see in the Players Tour. We've seen multiple bridge camps come out so far this season.
Yeah, we've also seen the crazy circles, though, that move all the way over towards the east, like we had yesterday by Gangneung, which essentially was a Phase 2, Phase 3 circle for the first one of the game. So keep an eye on how it plays out. 1.5 minutes is when that circle pops, so we're still a little ways away from there. But Most players already got it boots on the ground. Looks like Mira and Falcons, though. Hey, Chwin. That's, what in the absolute mess is going on with this drop?
Tiggleton took down his own teammate. LFP going to be there to find Kickstart as well. H1 will be able to find 1 point on the board, but this is rough for Falcons here. I do want to point out, by the way, we are on live server. We've got that DMR nerf, which means that, you know, they're going to be a lot less useful if you get something like the Mini when you're in a hot drop. And by the way, that circle has popped, and it is going to be 50-50 either side of the river, so that'll be an interesting one to watch. But right now, let's watch LFP as he tries to make the push over towards Tiggleton, who is laying prone with the shotgun.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Falcons just wanted to drop on Mira on purpose there, because usually Falcons drop in terminals, so I feel like this has been a curious one. You've lost H1, you've lost Kick. Tiggleton now is at severe risk as well, with multiple Mira players not too far away. Everybody's going to go prone and wait for some steps and chunks. You got what you asked for. You wanted that circle that splits the two islands. That's exactly what happens. But the vast majority of that landmass is on that northern island.
Well, if I'm honest with you, I wanted bridge camps. I thought that the team most likely to do that would be Falcons. And now with them only having Shrimsy and Tiggleton left up, it's looking unlikely. As Gabriel and Lopez trade in piece for piece as No Way and Potentially Dangerous also hot dropped over here in Hosan. So they've got a bit of a rotate ahead of them and potentially going to have to navigate through 55 and Alcudzia to make it into the circle.
Yeah, DNL with the DMR. He can see Night of On. He can just see that booty moving in the distance, but he wants the head, not the booty. Spots out Glock as well, but doesn't quite land the shots, and now he's got to be careful that a Panzer doesn't get sent this way. PD in a really good spot. Lopez is down and out. Yes, you've got another player a little further away. That's a good shot from DNL, getting Glock low. Not for the first time, and Vinny will finish the job as he finds that knock.
Vinny using the M4 for long range. The Panzer, I guess, is the close range by proxy. For the time being, just focusing on trying to find that flush, but needs to be careful as he peeks this because two players from PD are looking over in this direction. DNL has set up a crossfire as Faravero will take down one of his own. Samcro down low, caught with a flash. Tony looks to try and find him, pre-fire in the corner, but not able to find it. No util to work with right now. So that's given Samcro the opportunity to heal, but Nightavon quickly steals it away from him, finding the headshot, finishing the job. Potentially Dangerous starting to take control of this fight.
Yeah, Nightavon is being held. Tony will confirm out another kill, but Vinny almost loses his life as he steps up over that ridge line. He's going to be forced now to potentially use the only first aid he's got left in the pocket. DNL. That is filth from the other member of No Way from back inside the apartments. He confirms that kill out. This is a really good fight we have on the south side of Hosan.
Yeah, and let's not forget there's a res beacon inside of Hosan as well, so I think whichever team comes out on top should be able to remain as a four-man going forward. Vinny just going to be holding this rock. As Nightavon and Gabriel both equally split up as the No Way players are. I do wonder if No Way actually have a way to regroup and take this as a team. I mean, DNL, he's inside a 5-stack. He probably doesn't have a vehicle. His teammate does, but how are you even going to be able to rotate there without getting completely lit up by a player like Nightavon who's just waiting for you to expose yourself?
Nightavon definitely has it in him. I'm really impressed by what I've seen over time, but looking up towards the terminal itself, it looks like Mira in a spot of trouble once more. This time it's Team Liquid that are putting to the sword. LFP doesn't get the knock onto Luke, and now he's going to be forced to flee a little bit further back. Liquid, like a cat with 9 lives here. Mira should have found more than one knock of that situation, but Mira are really on the back foot.
That was really impressive from Luke to be able to make it out of that. Unfortunate for Team Mirror, that should have been a kill on the board. They might be able to find one onto Kurt, though, as LFP gets him down. Haven spawned him out as well. He's going to prep a nade. Looks like he maybe saw where Alo was as well, so we might be able to get a 2-for-1 discount here, and he certainly does. Throws out a second nade, wants to check out with that kill. Alo will fall, and now Team Liquid left with only 2 players up, losing that advantage. And, I mean, let's be be honest, Team Mirror, they've just killed the top 2 North American teams back to back.
Yeah, big for them. Team Liquid, though, they'll land a headshot, not quite able to get the telling blow onto Haven. But for Liquid, they don't want to go too far away. There is a recall station in the edge of the compound. They have got their sights set on potentially bringing Kurt and Alo back in. Meanwhile, Mira, understanding the situation, know that that's likely what Team Liquid's intentions are at this point in time. So they'll just hold this standoff for just a little while. Speaking of standoffs, though, Rock and No Ego a little further away. BL stuck between a rock and a hard place as Fisher will close the gap. But Fisher just made a little bit of noise. That distracted him, and Martin couldn't find the knock.
This is really nicely done from No Ego here as Martin takes him down low, but Fisher finishes off the job. We spoke a minute about those recall systems. I do want to point out as well, it looks like Falcons have been able to get their teammates chips after Mirror moved away, so they are going to be sticking on one of the res beacons now. Might be able to bring in the rest of the squad, but the way they're playing, Tackleton is going pretty central inside this zone, so I do have to wonder how they're going to cope for loot right now as, yeah, Phoenix, they're also heading in using an EP, so I want to keep an eye on how they manage to land through with so many of these compounds already being taken.
Chunks, I'd love to do some play-by-play, but I just banged my ankle really hard off the bottom of my chair, and I will do my best as Zinni peeks over the ridgeline. I am, yeah, take over for a second while I mute to say some colorful things.
Yeah, it would have been handy to do some play-by-play, get that aggression out of your system, make it out like you're just really into it. But AKA right now, still in a tricky position. They've actually come into third party onto this fight by the looks of things, so potentially dangerous and No Way now facing some real trouble when the time comes for them to make the move. It looks like Phoenix, they are going to drop up to the north, and they've actually managed to find a free spot out of this one. In Terminal, however, Sparkin, Luke 12, still trying to figure out how to finish off Team Mirror. It's going to be a tough one for them. Gibson, have you had a minute to say those words that you're not allowed to say on stream yet?
I'm back. I'm feeling a little better now. Feeling more myself. But Gabriel's not feeling himself as he's going to get eliminated by Zinni. Another point on the board for AKA. And of course, it's the doo-doo gladiator. Usually, you flush the doo-doo, but he's been the one flushing players out of the lobby over the course of the last 2 days. And yes, I sat on that pun for way too long, but I finally got to say it.
I know that you stole that one from chat as well. I hope you give whoever it was credit. I saw that one earlier.
Don't tell them. Don't
Terrible,
tell them.
Gibson.
It's fine. It's fine.
No
Don't
way.
worry about it.
Looking to find a way out of Hosan right now. They're trying to disengage, but I mean, they've committed so much onto this fight right now. They're going to be down to one helmet, one first aid kit, sorry, for Vinny. No helmet, limited ammo. Really, really difficult game going ahead for them right now because they're already out in the blue. You can only imagine that that circle's going to shift further away from them going forward. But AKA, I think they realise that they can't commit to this. It's probably not worth it when you can set up in a bit of a better position, try and gatekeep them. I say that though, but Danshin is actually going to be moving through the city as, yeah, it's nearly time for that second phase to pop, and we'll see if it keeps the river in or whether we're going to see everyone cross over.
Yeah, well, you see Resmi, they elected to go all the way over to the west to cross the safest bridge based on the flight path we have. That gives them access to Go Dock. They can continue rotating through the blue, way up to the north to Go Dock, and come into the circle on that mountain range, on the hills, just on the western side of the map, south of Army Base. So I like the rotate they're doing. Tung Tung Sahur might just beat them to that spot as their vector is a little closer at this point in time. But Mira still locked in battle with Team Liquid. And at some point, the Blue's going to get involved. But we'll look at this one because it looks like 55 and Falcons are getting involved on the rotate across the bridge.
Yeah, I actually thought that Falcons were also going to be involved in this terminal fight if it had shifted down to the south, because it looked like they were creeping their way through. Sparkin, not going to be doing much creeping, makes a lot of noise and does a lot of damage onto Fakes and find himself the knock as two players left up from Team Mirror, so at least the fight is a little bit more equal, and there is going to be a res beacon in position. Luke 12 positioned nicely to take down LFP, and that leaves only Haven left up from Team Mirror. Not really in a position to find the revives, but Sparkin's in a position position to find his head.
Yeah, the stun grenade will keep Haven on the back foot as he flees back, but Team Liquid getting themselves back properly inside this fight. Now there's only one member of Mira standing, and it is Haven. And will be looking to do his best. I think Kufas might have just been riding his bicycle out of there as he's caught out by Rello, and D will combine to get that knock. So Phoenix, after what was a pretty good start to the night, will lose one early. And the Phoenix are a team that need as many points as they can possibly get. And this red zone could just make the circle a little bit more interesting for all these teams.
Still waiting for it. I've still not seen one. I've still not got to cast one, so I'm waiting. And I feel bad for the team it inevitably happens to, but it has to happen at some point, especially when teams like Alcurzi and Toyo are really close together. You can imagine it's probably going to take down two of them at once if it does hit. Now, we should point out it will, if anything, provide a little bit of extra cover with those little craters that are created by the explosion, so I guess that's a positive if you are a team playing these positions. But for right now, I will say Toyo, Alcurzi keeping at arm's length from each other, and Knight of On found a Panzer to finish off No Way before going down himself.
Yeah, that gunfight lasted quite a ways, and eventually it is mutually assured destruction as the two teams are the first two to depart the lobby. Toyo not too far away from Alcudsi now, as RBN's going to say thank you very much. Rock getting all these lovely little goodies. I love how it's jump into the water, climb up on top of the crate, have a little loot. Jump out of the water, climb up on top of the crate, have a little loot. He has nobody in his postal code, so he can check every single crate. And his teammates, well,
I don't see him. I'm looking over on the map feed. I don't see him. So they're either still out in the blue over on the east, or he is solo right now. If he is solo, I mean, I guess that MG3 could come in very handy. Our observers actually being helpful for us, letting us know what he's got to work with. And honestly, there is a lot of loot. I think at the moment, though, the BZ nade is the most powerful thing. But turns out the most powerful player right now is going to be Haven as he finds the double headshot onto Sparking. Not only is he able to get the knock, but he's also just denied the respawn from coming through on Team Liquid. Haven's going to look for the nade, potentially try and find that final player in the form of Luke 12.
I'm surprised that Team Liquid went for this recall system. You knew that Haven was still probably not too far away, and Haven was going to wait for that opportunity. So for Liquid, it's maybe a lapse in concentration, or maybe even they took the assumption that that would have been safe, but it did not quite work out for Liquid. They get Sparking back on his feet, but I'd be looking more so at some of the recall systems a little bit further away from the spot, but now I guess you lock yourselves back into this fight and you try to get that extra point.
I think the big thing with Liquid right now is if they call their teammates in here, then they know that there's only one player to deal with. If they try and rotate in somewhere like Yongchon after that northwestern shift in the circle, they don't know how many teams are still going to be there. Now, granted, right now it's only LG, but a lot of the times you'll see 3-4 teams crash into that city early. So while it wasn't necessarily the right play, I can't think of any that would have worked out much better here for Liquid, and well, they need to make something happen because that blue, it's starting to slowly do more and more damage. A little bit of emergency cover will be called in by Luke 12 to try and get the res beacon in, but before they commit to it, Sparking's going to swing round the side and try and cover the back of this building.
Yeah, 15 minutes gone as we're roughly halfway through, or I suppose first and final Tago of the night in this 4-map system. Haven still not too far away. I think that deployable shield is just a beacon to his position as Sparking want to deal with it. Elsewhere, Tiggleton, DM or nerf? What DM or nerf as he just wipes out 2 players from AKA with that mini. I'm looking at the map. Were those players, well, RBN has fallen to his death, but was Tiggleton shooting players coming in from the sky?
I have no idea. I was so locked into this fight, and Luke 12 comes out on top of it. But yeah, Tiggleton just found another one with the DMR as well, so it must have been, they must have been parachuting or something. That's the only thing that makes sense for them going down so quickly like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I think it just happened by the bridge to the western side of Yongchon, so maybe it was just a bridge camp and Tiggs just that much better. Lawson, he's certainly not better with a bunch of 5.56 inside him. Either is Ortray.
He's getting blocked.
As they will both fall. And, well, Gats, there's a need. He's going to toss it, but Zig from Enemy, this is not what they want at all.
I love that play. I didn't see which player it was that went down from Enemy, but kind of intentionally blocking Gats from being able to get behind cover. I like that play from him. It didn't work out, though, as Michael, Snakers both cleaning up a killer piece as well. 55 Esports, they look down towards no ego now. By the way, Team Liquid, they are finally dropping those 2 more players left in. Purdy Curdy's going to go and feed out Cudsy some free kills by the looks of things, but looks like Alo's dropping in a little bit later, might actually try and play for the fight here.
Coda Kid, need at the ready. Gets back on his bike and he's got to pedal those little feet as quick as he can because Pipa got a bad idea as he looks towards him. A little bit more damage dealt, but I think that Coda Kid has at least passed the first test and he'll be able to get that first aid off. And while all that's been going on, you're getting very close to Zinni from AKA. Martin will throw that nade off into the distance, but that's not going to land anywhere near close enough.
He's got himself a valley to work with. He has a vehicle, so I think the smoke's just there to provide a little bit of cover. Get down the hill. Faravero's still looking for it, though. Just making sure that his teammate will be safe. There's DZ tanking a lot of blue damage now. It is phase 4 and they have a long way to go. Down further to the south, LG, they're starting to move away, so that provides no Lego a little bit more space to work with. 55 though, not giving LG the free rotate, catching them with a bit of damage, and it looks like they've actually crashed the vehicle. Speaking of crashing though, Michael's going straight into the compound and Pippa's going to take him out.
Yeah, that's a point on the board for 55 there. Oh no, a backflip over on the other side as well. LG, this is not really what you have in mind whenever you want to go for a masterful rotate inside the circle. If I'm Psycho, I'm pushing to get an angle on that. You know that LG can only rotate now on feet, so they're essentially walking wounded. Can you get yourself in a position to take advantage of this little bit of misfortune for LG? Because they've got to consider the fact that not too far away is the members of Noego as well.
I think the worst part of this for LG is it looked like they actually just hit a tree before this. So they managed to crash into a tree. I think it was a tree anyway. They got away from that one, sped off trying to get over to safety, then ended up flipping the vehicle. So they're in a bit of trouble right now because they got 2 teams moving in. But potentially Phoenix could open up onto No Lego and provide them a little bit of safety. And LG, they could get an off angle onto this. They could potentially steal out some kills.
Yeah, laser from Phoenix. He's got an angle on the Faravero. You got to make these shots count, buddy. As Faravero is going to turn on him and get that knock. Now, Fachida will trade it back, but his teammate is getting tagged from afar. Neptune's now. He spots out Coda Kid, but Coda Kid will give a nice little rebuttal of that damage traded that way. It's not going good now for the members. Coda Kid will destroy Gats as well, as Kurt will take down Laser Wow. And, well, Phoenix, you got to rise from the ashes here in this one if you want to get any sort of point tally at all, because this ain't going well.
On the other side of things, though, Snakers, you got to stay down low because that circle is shifted perfectly for you, hard down to the southeast. Hopefully, teams, at least for Snakers, are going to take each other out further off to the east as Phoenix, No Lego, 55, all try and rotate for ultimately the same positions. Karax looking out, will be able to spot out Martin, finishes off the job as Pippa, so 10th place for them. There's 55 Esports, 4 kills on the board. And now, you've got to know that Snakers is about. I'm just not sure whether they have an exact position yet.
Well, they're the team that spotted the car flip earlier, so if he's not by the rock, he's got to be close by. Oranzera hits 41 damage on the M24. Another shot fired. This one isn't going to hit pay dirt, though. Oh, Tung Tung Sahur, 1 HP, but they're pushing towards Liquid now. And Halo, the pro that he is, will start popping some of the tires, make it harder for Tung Tung Sahur. They're a team that are desperately in need of points as well, Chunks.
Yeah, they are down at the bottom end of the leaderboard. A lot of difference to make. And wow, really good shots coming out from Loki and his teammate. It looked like they both kind of coordinated their shots there, realizing they weren't spotted out. Kurt, he did drop in late. Remember, he was one that was brought in by the res beacon. Now down solo, and he has been able to get a bit of loot, but he's in a 1 versus 4 right now. We've seen him clutch out in previous weeks of the Players Tour, so let's see if the old man's still got it. Will be spotted out by Necro as he holds the top of this rock. It's going to be difficult because look at this. Phoenix are also now moving in. They should be able to find an angle onto him.
It is AUG iron sights as well, by the way. I spotted that out for Kurt as he doesn't seem to have any close range scopes. Phoenix will do a little bit of damage onto Kurt, and Team Liquid will get flushed from the lobby. Tung Tung Sahur, 2 points on the board for them as maybe their rise will start to happen on the very last day. Tig, he's just chilling. He's going to wait. He's parked on up inside of his Bugatti. Maybe he'll wake up inside his new Bugatti. You know, there's a little reference to a song that some people still might know, but let's see what Resmi can do up against Al-Qudsiya.
It looks like Al-Qudsiya starting to adopt the 9mm meta. Roth taking the MP5. It's worked out well so far. Zico, another 9mm player, will be getting spotted out, but it's actually Roth who finds himself a second knock, this time onto Spectro. So that leaves Resmi in a very difficult position. Valier is still going to be alive. He's a little bit further away. Roth trying to use the third person to peek around, but Zico, with that Panzer, could do so much damage at close range. Circle has shifted away from them, so they need to think about clearing up this fight and quickly, because EMEA is now starting to third party, take Zico down low. The Panzer's still there. Surely he's going to be able to find Roth, but no, the MP5K just too strong right now. Hip firing to get the flush, finishes off Spectro, and now only Valier left with this VSS.
3 kills for Roth with that MP5, and he's looking to make it a 4. Valiant is going to go prone up behind the rock. I think they've got a pretty good beat as to where that final player is. Neptunes will get shot at here by Faraz from Tung Tung Sahur. Loki getting within throwable distance. Thought about throwing it high, but realizing that Neptune might just be the easier target a little bit further down towards the south. So he'll smoke off one angle and focus on the other.
Cammy playing a little bit slower, and Neptunes will get punished. Loki nicely able to identify the player, takes the spray. As Tung Tung Sahur now moving up the hillside. Cammy tries to spray through the bush, but it's so hard to spot exactly where those players are. Smoke wall will come down. Tung Tung, this is going to be a very important game. They only have 3 matches left, including this one, to try and close up the distance, and it is a long distance to travel. Nade comes out, and it's close, but it's not going to be enough to finish off Faraz.
Yeah, and there you step around. Loki gets the kill, and it's 4 points now for Tung Tung Sahur as they start their move in the late game. Peepa from 55 will look to gatekeep them out now as Necro is going to join. Al-Qudsiya looking to do the same as these two sides look to hold out one of the teams on the bottom side of the leaderboard. For Tung Tung Sahur, 4 points plus a placement, maybe a few more. This is much, much better.
Rello holding out to the west, keeping eyes down to Tung Tung Sahur, but not being able to find anything just yet. Surely the crossfire working with Pippa at 55 Esports should be able to find something. Cowboy switches his attention as he spots those Toyo Esports players. But you can't forget, Emmy is still all the way down on the south. Oh, by the way, Tiggleton's still in the game. I just assumed that Falcons were out of this, but it looks like he's playing solo squads. He's actually sat inside of a vehicle right now, so not sure whether that's the one from LG that flipped earlier. Maybe he's sitting in the back seat, hoping not to get spotted. But I mean, it's worked out so far. Psycho finishes off Capitan as Tung Tung Sahur will fall. Well, maybe not just yet. Necro's still up, trying to find the spray, but he is getting caught out. Rello finishes off the job.
They go down in 5th place, and it's a 4v4v4 v1 as Tig will just chill inside his Bugatti near the middle of the circle. Remember, if you got any, I'm going to do a little ad, I suppose. If you have any points sitting inside the game, any credits that you want to use, you can get yourself a Bugatti just like Tig.
I thought you were about to plug your creator code. Never mind.
Oh
As
no,
the
this is I can't do that here. This is the official PUBG channel. I like my job.
Yeah, fair enough. As now the circle shifts down to the west. RNZ looking up towards Rello, but he's not going to be able to find anything. The bolt has been used by 55 quite a bit over the Players Tour, but I think now could be the opportunity for it to come into its own. We'll see. I mean, most players still opting to go with DMRs. I think it's about familiarity, and we mentioned Tig. He's just chilling in the back seat right now, hoping that he doesn't get spotted.
What song do you think he's listening to?
Oh, I have no idea. I think like one of his teammates is probably serenading him.
You think Shrimsy is doing some singing?
Yeah, I think so.
I'd like to think that Tig is listening to some Jackson 5 ABC. Nice little chill song while he waits for the rest of the action to happen around him.
Who knows? I like to think he's just got kind of hold music on at the moment. Maybe some elevator music. As it seems nobody spotted him, so I guess it's working out. I guess skins do equal skill. A little bit of extra safety. No one going to be able to spot you inside of there. Rello, he's not going to try and mimic the strategy. Instead, hops in the buggy, starts getting proactive. As Alcudia are now realizing they will have to try and deal with Toyo. Which surely one of these Alcudia players is going to spot out this vehicle and use it for cover, if not spot Tiggleton.
The tinted windows make it harder to see as well, though. Like, why would you look inside the Bugatti this late inside the game? There's no reason for them to do it. Now, they might look around the edges and maybe they might spot him out, but for now, Tig is just going to chill and continue to potentially gather placement points. Benya here from Toyo. He's playing inside the smoke. A lot of pressure coming his way now from 55. Adria will toss that nade over, and that nade is perfect as it hits the target. 55, though, fighting back, but Adria will get another knock onto Pipa. And Toyo with just 2 players left standing. Benya will be dealt with, but Psycho, he doesn't want to go down without swinging.
Psycho goes for the heal, has to cancel it. He's so low on ammo, though. Look at this, 14 bullets left. Emmy needs to throw a nade over the top to be able to flush this one out without peeking, but instead it's just going to be a flashbang, followed with the second. Cowboy's watching the cross, actually ends up saving Psycho's life. As Tiggleton, by the way, has now made it into the top 3 and make it the top 2, as Alcudia have just finished off 55 Esports. So Tiggleton, as a solo, sitting inside the Bugatti, has somehow managed to survive. Alcudia are looking around, they see the Bugatti, but it's not even crossing their minds that there could be a player in here. Cowboy seems to have finally spotted one out. D throws out the Molotov. Tiggleton tries to run away, but it's not to be. I mean, Alcudia get themselves a 9-kill win, but the MVP for that one has to be Tiggleton.
Honestly, he got in his car, drove to Scepter Circle, threw the handbrake on, got the music going, and just AFK'd and got himself second place for Falcons. You know what? I genuinely don't think there's any other player in the world who gets away with that. Like, genuinely. Because no other player would think of doing it.
No, I mean, and think about how things started off for Falcons as well. I swear they were down to a solo earlier on after that hot drop against Mirror. Somehow being able to not only bring all of your teammates in, but then just sit inside a Bugatti, not even getting involved. I don't know how many kills Falcons were able to get, so I'm really interested to see when we get over to the standings for that game how many they were able to grab. But another team that lost players early on, Team Liquid, they had a decent performance as well. Just about able to come out on top of Team Mirror, but I think the theme of this game was so many teams sitting out in the blue for such a long time, taking those early game fights and ultimately failing because of it.
Yeah, the relatively slow start for potentially Dangerous continued a little bit too, so that means that it is an opportunity to close that gap. 19 points for Alcudia, 13 for 55. Falcons did manage to find 4 kills over the course of that game, but the 5 placement points will get them up to 9 points as well. Honestly, some of the easiest points Falcons they will ever get.
Yeah, all skill. I don't know what you're talking about, Gibson. Let's see how that affects the overall standings, though. As I mean, Falcons, they got themselves 9 more points, so it moves them a little bit further away from 55 Esports, who themselves had a really big game, but is potentially dangerous that are stealing the show. And right now, if we're talking about prize pool, it is really tight to see who's going to be taking home 400, who's going to be taking home 100. There's only, what, 15 points between it? Don't trust my caster math. And at the same time, only the top 8 are going to qualify, but 3 teams are potentially going to move that qualification spot further down.
Yeah, 13 of the 16 teams in the lobby will be making it. And at this point in time, Phoenix, Tung Tung Sahur, and Enemy are not over that threshold. So as it stands, Phoenix need the 8 points to catch No Way and some more on top of it if they want to make it in. But we're going to throw it to a very quick break. When we come back, it'll be Rondo. We'll be back in a few.
Oh my god, we killed the boat! Whoa! Holy
He's down.
Oh, hell no. Yoink.
Tree's still digging. Go, bro, go, bro. Yeah, this thing's gonna go quick, bro. You gotta go. No way. Oh my god. Yeah.
Oh, shot, what? No way. No freaking way.
Game number 2 is in the books, and what a way to end it. I mean, Tiggleton stealing the show. It's my MVP player of the week, for sure. That's right, not weekend Gibson. But for game number 3, we are heading over to Rondo, and this is a very southern playing path. Let's probably expect a hot drop or 2 off of this one.
Well, I always like to say sometimes the best thing to do is to do nothing at all. And Tig got second place by doing exactly that. You said you want some hot drops? Well, I'm keeping a little eye on the map to see where there's a potential. AKA, and I think there's a 3 teams heading north at the very end of that flight path. Mira, AKA, is that No Ego, all moving north. You've got Resmi going to Zhao Team. Team Liquid will extend out to Stadium because that's normally what they elect to do. And I don't really see anything else at this moment in time, Chunks.
No, I'm actually a little bit surprised that we're not seeing more hot drops come out here, but I think that most teams are actually going to be happy that they can get to their regular drops, and, well, they're going to need to do it quickly, especially if you're stretching up to the north, because that is a circle that I can't say I've actually had the opportunity to cast before.
I think I got it once, and it finished just between Long Ho and the bridge further south, and we saw a lot of bridge camping. I think it was the game with Ascend in it, and Ascend were taken to the skies to try to control that section of the map. I think Mira, they've dropped. They're trying to get some kills under the parachuting members of AKA, but see these teams that dropped last way up to the north? If I'm them, if I'm Mira, I'm thinking, oh, that's a great shot. I'm thinking, get my loot and get into the circle, because you've got really good prio over everybody else.
If you're Team Mirror, though, what loot? Okay, I guess you can grab a machete and get a kill that way. Nicely done from Haven to be able to pick that one up. Finding Fisher, that solo player from NL, a little bit further away from the team. But Team Mirror, yeah, they need to loot up quickly. They have a really good prio to head in from the south, where I don't think any teams are really going to threaten them from. I think we might see that, as always, inverse donut, even though I've started mentioning it more than you now. I think we could actually see that in a circle like this, because we have water in play. A lot of teams probably going to go very central just so that they have the opportunity to cross over the river if needed.
Well, if you're a betting man, you're going to look at the statistics and say the west side of the circle is where it's most likely going to go, because that's got the most landmass, especially with that river that runs through Rinjiang and a little bit further north of Hongshan. And with that being the case, you'll see a couple of teams hanging around Rinjiang, and everybody else, like you said, will go towards the center of the circle. Now, if you go further south towards Long Ho, or you play way over to the west, you do have the benefit of knowing that you cannot get flanked. The further you go towards the edge on that side, the less opportunity for anybody to take control. So that's why I'd like to see maybe Phoenix, a team that are right on the cusp. Focus on a 2-2 split, keep 2 players near the center, put 2 players out towards the extremity of the map on the west, and that way all you got to do is focus inwards towards the rest of the circle.
Interesting from Team Mirror. They are focusing on that priority, although part of me thinks maybe you could have got some kills out of AKA then. They weren't really super looted. Like, it's a tough one, isn't it? And it's that balance that teams have to make. Do you want to focus on getting into a good prio position, getting into the late game, or do you want to try and get those early game kills? And I think that based on Team Mirror's current position, they've made the right call. They know that they're confident in terms of getting those frags, so just wait for the late game mons rather than rushing it too early. So they are just going to focus on the rotate, although they may end up bumping into Valley 8 on their way down.
I think with the way the Team Mirror have been playing, a lot of the viewers will be looking at the mirror and they'll not recognize the team that's staring back at them at this point in the time. This is not the mirror that we have seen over the course of the year inside these player cups. Now, yes, we know that Kawazine has left. He's gone to greener pastures by Furia, and massive congratulations to him. You know, he'll be getting a salary, he'll be earning a lot of money. He's just turned 18 and he'll be excited about what he could do at PAS. But let's not forget, last weekend, which was the first real event without Kawazine, Mira outperformed Bestia, as D will just do the helmet dance all the way to get it inside the vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Kawazine, a huge player for Team Mirror. they were able to keep up that momentum, but at least this weekend, it has dropped. This week, sorry, I keep forgetting it's the middle of the week. I'm so used to us spending our weekends together. But this week, yeah, they're not able to perform as well as they have done previously. Now, I think what I would say to that is when we look at last game and who they were taking fights against, they nearly wiped out both Falcons and Liquid back-to-back. As, speaking of Liquid, Coda Kid getting taken out by Halo.
Yeah, that shot, that'll be a player lost for Noego, and Team Liquid will pick up that point as well. So, I feel sorry for Coda Kid, right? He stepped in tonight. I actually like this player a lot. I've had the opportunity to cover him for about 2-3 years. But it's not been the sort of night for Noego that they would have wanted. I think that the fact they've already qualified to the Masters means that there's not as much pressure on them as other teams. But they've really just not got going yet.
Just a reminder for chat, make sure you do exclamation point map in chat, and then you can question the same thing that I'm questioning here. I was wondering why Team Liquid are moving all the way up to the north here. Have they lost a player? Are they going for a res here? Because otherwise I'm very confused about why they're rotating so far to the north when, I mean, they dropped at Stadium. They're now all the way up over at Minhu. I don't think that's even a spot I've played before because of how far north it is.
I think they could be looking for the glider. That's a little further north.
Yeah.
Pick up the glider, take to the skies, and because you've gone so far north, you know that you can then rotate down the west side of the map. Now, I may be wrong. You know, us casters, we do get things wrong from time to time. But I would like to see Team Liquid up the aggression this time around. Fana, he spots out AKA. They're going to pick up some speed as they nosedive that glider down towards the ground, and that'll get them out of harm's way. But like for AKA, you've got your eye on the sky. Get scouting. Find out where's clear. Get your squad a really good position inside the circle.
Oh, LFP. Really good shots over onto DZ right there. Can he take down Doodoo Gladiator? Oh, he's taken the glider out of the equation. It's coming down fast. Should be able to stay in it for a little bit longer. But Team Mirror, they've got vehicles. They are just on the hunt right now to take down Doodoo Gladiator. Almost certain to flush him out.
LFP is looking for a player that he can take to the grave. Now, you should know the glider landed just a little moment ago, and the player cannot cover a lot of ground in a short period of time. So he's got to be nearby. So you're going to vector your circle, but Doodoo Gladiator living up to the protein all week. He's going to get stomped on, though, as he gets taken out. That's Haven that gets the kill. A couple of toots to the horn. But Doodoo Gladiator, again, just putting on a bit of a show.
I would love to see that from his POV right there. Just a car flying over his head as he manages to take one out. That's really impressive. But still, Team Mirror, they've got 3 kills on the board and they are showing no signs of stopping. I'm not sure whether there are any res beacons nearby, but if there are, they should be able to get their teammate back into things without too much hassle. The blue chip is down and obviously both bodies that they will be able to loot off of. Alcudia, they are dead center in this circle, using that high ground really aggressively right now. Super split up and super nice shots onto Michael from Rello.
Yeah, Rello landing some damage onto the potential newbie from LG. So I did have a chat with Bizzler and he's just not playing this week. And Michael, as you said, you had a conversation with him. So LG will have a decision to make. Now, I think Bizzler is one of the top players in the Americas. I looked at that for a second and I thought that Nanu and Sparking were the same glider because I looked at the mini-map first. I was like, what is going on here? But Sparking, he is taken to the skies. He is doing a lot of hard work. You know, we made the assumption that's what Team Liquid were doing, and that's exactly what they did. They picked up that glider, and now they'll focus on moving inside the circle.
do want to quickly point out, by the way, just because I know there were some questions in chat. Never mind, we'll get back to this later, because Dan Shin, he's going to try and finish off Fanna, but no, he throws the nade so wide when he can hear the res beacon going off. I don't know why that decision was made, but Team Mirror, they've managed to get the res beacon off without having to worry. They know that there's a player within their vicinity now after the nade landed through, but it wasn't able to find any damage onto either of them. And it looked for a second like Fanna was actually going to be able to find that final player from AKA.
Yeah, that's a little disappointing, but AKA will jump up on top of there. Fanna throws the nade, but pressure coming in from Nanu. Fanna, you gotta be quick, you gotta be nimble, you gotta make sure that you stay on your feet. Danshin, there's a little bit of damage onto Haven, but Haven will bite back hard, and Danshin will fall. And while all that was going on, we got the circle shift, and it did go west here, Chunks. So all these teams that gambled on a western shift, they are now reaping the rewards of that decision.
The teams over on the east now have a difficult cross to make, because by that water, it is very open. Now, I just want to go quickly back to the point before the next fight kicks off. Yes, this is TPP for anyone who's wondering, and whatever we are seeing on our screen is the POV of the players. If we're watching in third person, it means the players are playing in third person. If we are watching in first person, it means the players are choosing to play in first person. We will see some situations where we'll be on a compound fight or something. A player will be pushing a building. They'll opt to go for that first-person perspective, so it can get a little bit confusing at times, but that is just the players choosing that that's the best perspective to take that specific fight.
Kurt now, is he picking up that chip? I'm not quite sure, but we might see Liquid back up as a 4 in not too long. Tung Tung Sahura, they are one of the teams in the chasing pack to try get inside the top 13 teams of the lobby. Resmi, they're going to be the team going up against it. Necro takes a little bit of damage. That'll force him back into cover, but you don't want to fall that drop, because it'll take away all of your all your HP. Tung Tung Sahur, though, they're getting surrounded, and Bieli will get the knock onto Kamish.
Necro going to be healing up for the time being, as Bieli ready to peek over, trying to find an angle. Tung Tung still up that hillside. The rest of Resmi are now going to be closing in a little bit more, as Bieli swings around the side, trying to hold off that player who's getting a peek of his own, but it's going to be Zico who's the first to fall. Loki able to get the knock and flush that one out to go with it. Resmi trying their best to get an off angle, but it looks like Tung Tung Sahura are going to be ahead of it. Farah's already there, finds the headshot, takes down Bieli as Spectro, flushes out Cammy in return. So Tung Tung coming out on top of this fight so far.
Breaks the helmet there the same way that you've just broken the fourth wall by saying hello and answering some of chat's questions, and they've realized, hold on a second, I'm not watching terrestrial TV. I'm watching two people who might be able to keep an eye on what we're saying. 55, they're keeping an eye on the movements of Tung Tung Sahura off in the distance as they hope to find another couple of points for themselves. They're having this really nice couple of maps over the course of the last 2 days, just outside the top 3 as things stand, but not by much in all. Mira, this is not where you want to be rotating past. You're driving past the masters of the Bugatti. Fanna will take out one, but yeah, a second. Look how quickly he was dealt with by H1.
But still, Shrimsy, I think he was going for the flush. He assumed it was only one player in there. And yeah, sure, he should be able to get revived if H-Win can finish off this final mirror player, because Haven is now moving back in. The rest of Falcons getting ready to swarm will take down Haven. I'm not even sure where their final player is now.
Yeah, Shrimsy down, but not quite out just yet, as Kickstart will run over another one, and well, Mira, they've still not got it going. Mira on the wall. Where's the Mira we've been seeing all fall? As Sparking will start tossing the nade over towards Nightavon. PD, your current lobby leaders, at real risk of giving up that position. Liquid driving by. Luke will get the knock on the Tony. Kurt gets the off angle, and he should be able to confirm another one or two. But look at this. It's no way that I think that did some damage, and then PD will get that knock.
Nightavon able to flush out another, as Team Liquid having a real tough time of it right now. Kurt was over at the rock, but he's been taken out. I think that leaves only one Team Liquid player left up. It's going to be Alo inside the smoke. He's just parachuted in. He was respawned. He's managed to pick up a gun off the body. He's got the double barrel. This could be huge, but he needs to close down the distance. No, he doesn't. He takes down Night of On anyway.
Yeah, but then the smoke dissipates and the illusion is gone. Glock will pick up what is a simple flush onto Alo. Resmi fall as well. We've got 14 teams left alive, and what was a promising potential game for Team Liquid, it's all gone up in smoke. Loki, Tung Sahur, they lost one, but 2 more kills as they keep on climbing, and might just be about to make it a third here, Chunks. They've got this map and 1 more, and they are not out of arm's reach yet of qualifying for the Masters this weekend.
No, they just need a couple of strong performances in our final 2 games to be able to qualify as LFP, the final player from Team Mirror. Now has to have a strong performance of his own because Falcons have pushed in. Still got 4 players up. Kickstart nearly exposed himself. Using that third person, I think he hears something as LFP takes down one, but Shrimpsy's there for the trade. It's Team Mirror falling down in 14th position. That is rough for them. They have not had the best time of it. Granted, they're already qualified to next week, but it'll be $400 that they're missing out on from their weekly paycheck.
Yeah, and Falcons, they're though looking to get control of that prize pool as they will be right on top of the team of I think PD on that leaderboard as things stand. Night of On, the last player standing for PD, he's going to move in towards, I think, those little shacks. Is he going to make it? Well, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because the circle has just sifted south of Lanpo.
Then he just got a mortar kill. I'm not sure how that happened, whether he got the knock with it as well, or whether it was just a flush, but hey, I always got to give the shout out to the mortar kills because they are amazing to watch. Enemy Zin looking out over the hillside, knows that Rock are going to be making a rotate and probably want to play this rocky area. Up ahead of them, Gats tries to land some mini shots from long range, but not going to have any joy as LG leaving it a little bit late for their rotate. Probably going to try and backfill this position, and it might work out for them because Rock have continued ahead.
Yeah, Rock moving in. Here's Tung Sahur moving towards AKA. The spray from Nanu reveals the position, but not a single bullet in anger will hit the pay dirt as Faraz picks up another point for Tung Sahur. They're getting closer and closer now, but 55 are still right on their doorsteps, and they've got to focus on moving into the circle. Al-Qudsiya, Chunks, they're making a big play in the middle of the circle. They're moving right on top of Noriego with a center circle compound on top of that ridgeline, sorry, I should say. This is a big potential fight between them and Al-Qudsiya, as Al-Qudsiya look to take top spot as well, and Kufas draws first blood from Phoenix.
I was going to say Al-Qudsiya could play the eastern side, but clearly not, because Phoenix are now starting to third party. Tiggleton, I believe, the solo player out on his own for Falcons, causing problems here for Tung Sahur, as the nade is going to come through from Zera to try and find the flush, but it's not to be. Tiggleton gets yet another knock, so Tung just completely torn apart now. Their final player is Loki. He's all the way down to the south. He might be able to sneak his way in, but enemy, they've spotted him out, and Zera, well, he's just ran out of bullets.
I thought you were going to say Tiggleton gets another Bugatti because he got one of those as well, but we'll turn our attention south of the circle. Just below the road on this hill, you've got the members of LG not too far away from enemy. Michael and co are looking to continue the climb from LG over the course of the last few maps. Santa, though, that's why he was the MVP at the most recent international LAN. That's another knock. That'll be a flush, and Santa puts another team inside his sack.
Solds looking to try and find those enemy players, as Michael sneaks up over the top, catching them in a bit of a crossfire now, really hoping that Rock are going to peek over themselves, but lost with a huge nade to take down Michael has really hampered LG's push now. The rest of them are heading over to the east. Vox is just playing on the road. He's got a C4. There's a team stacked up in a compound ahead of him. That only means one thing, right, Gibson?
Oh, it certainly does, and that means we're going to get some rock and roll
for Rock
action. Yeah. That's why I was
I
saying
thought they
rock
were
and
going to
roll.
go for the compound. I'm sorry. When I saw the C4, I was like, oh, they're going to send it into the compound. But no, they're heading over to rock. It doesn't look like they actually used it, though, because one of the players is going to be getting knocked, and they will find the res.
Yeah, but, you know, it's still an option. The C4 could still be utilized in a few moments' time. I'm looking at the likes of, I suppose we could say Phoenix. They've got to move inside the circle now. No Way and Toyo, they've got to get themselves an enemy. We'll look to find an opening knock before they make their move inside the circle. If somebody from Rock will stand still for just long enough, it might just give them the opportunity. The 3-2-1 fire goes off and only 10 damage is found. Well, that big fight. Look at this. Falcons and Al-Qudsiya. They're locking horns up on top of the hill, and both teams trading knocks back and forward.
Yeah, this is really nicely done from Al-Qudsiya. They've got themselves the high ground. They've got themselves the opening knocks, and ultimately, I think that's going to force Falcons off of this one. Try and rethink how they approach this. D is going to be able to find the flush onto kickstart, getting the extra point and also denying the info. Shrimsy moves back towards Tiggleton, who himself can't really provide much support from this position, so they're going to have to rethink the rotate themselves as Cats. Well, he just sees vehicles flying over the top, but he opts not to take the shot, which is probably the smart play here. Now, I could have sworn I saw a C4 on the part of LG, but I think now with them only down to a vehicle with a pop tyre, are they actually going to use it? Only time will tell. Phoenix will start to make a move over towards their position, and ultimately, when these smokes dissipate, LG are going to be wide open to this.
Too fast knocked by RBN, though. BL will add another as Neptunes is the next to fall. And of course, we're not on the C. Look, there was an attempted C4 play being done by LG, but they are dealt with by Rock. And now Rock turn their attention to Phoenix. And normally, as I said, a Phoenix rises from the ashes. But at this point in time, Rock are looking to turn their chances of qualifications into ashes and dust itself. Kufas dealt with a nade. Enemy wiped out now as well. 7 teams left alive. Falcons with only 2 of them. But Al-Qudsiya know if they deal with Falcons, the only place they can get pressured from then is the south.
Falcons putting in work with 2 players as Capitan puts in work as a solo. Probably not going to be able to get the heal off in time. Switches over to the DMR, tries to find the shots onto DNL, but it is not to be, as Toyo will fall out in 7th, followed quickly by Phoenix, as BL is going to be there to finish up the job. Al-Qudsiya with the high ground now, really going to dictate how this game goes, but we'll see how the circle shifts as well. DNL tries to land the shots onto Shrimsy, but Falcon as a duo just soaring through the leaderboard, should be up at the top. Surely now, even with the performances PD have been able to put in, Shrimsy somehow survives. 1 HP left, the tire pops, and that might actually buy him some extra cover, which is much needed, because look how many teams are shooting towards him.
How does nobody have the angle onto Shrimsy? Al-Qudsiya looking one way, Rock the other. Whether by luck or by chance or by design, the way that Shrimsy parked that car means that nobody can see where he's at. He'll get the level 3 gear. Yes, you've lost the tire, but Aurello, he might be about to lose his head. Psycho gets the shot through the back window, and that's an opening now. 55. Might be about to pick up another point, but even more importantly, Chunks, by killing that member of Al-Qudsiya, it swings the momentum fully in favor of Rock now.
Yeah, I was just saying how Al-Qudsiya had the opportunity to dictate the game there. They were the only team on the high ground. If they had moved a bit more aggressively, if Rello had gone sooner, managed to somehow avoid being knocked, which honestly, I can't knock him for because Psycho was just waiting for him, then they could have dictated this game. They could have got the high ground. They could have held teams out, but right now, that's not to be the case. Rock have got the high ground. They're now focusing over towards Tiggleton. Smokes will be going down, trying to get Solds into Panzer range. I think he maybe saw a glimpse of Tig. Now he certainly does on the outside of the smoke. Throws down the BZ nade over to the Rock to try and force Tig to reposition. Shrimsy gets knocked, but the kill is stolen away by Roth, and that leaves Tig as the final Falcons player. Forced out in the open, but hops down prone and somehow hasn't been spotted. Is that molly going to spread enough? Yes, it will. Al-Qudsiya finish off 55, followed closely by BL getting the kill onto Tiggleton.
6 kills for BL, 10 for Rock, and 2 more potentially to be found, unless Al-Qudsiya battle back strong. Al-Qudsiya, of course, holding the center of the circle. D will try to flank. Now, we spoke about the M16 being used as a DMR, and that's exactly what Roth is going to attempt to do here, as they'll keep moving. But if Rock stay close enough together, they should be able to see this game out, and this is much better, and I'm so happy for BL. Big performance for him, 6 kills. Maybe he could just find a few more.
Really impressive all around from Rock here, as they try to navigate the Rock. I mean, ultimately, Alcudia, they have to try and isolate these fights, and that's not going to be something that's easy to do when you're up against a team like Rock Esports, as they are just waiting. They know that that zone is probably going to pull away from the hillside at some point. So I think they're just waiting to see that circle before they get over-aggressive, before they commit to one specific push. But in about 5 seconds, we're going to find out where that circle will go. And maybe, just maybe, Alcudia will be able to hold out Rock.
Nah, never mind. It's all gone Rock's way. As now Alcudia, he will wrap as far north as he can. Going north means giving up a little bit of high ground, but it opens up the opportunity to find an off angle, find a flank that will allow you to open this engagement in your favor. Now, if you look at the map on your left side of the screen, Souls is keeping an eye on that. So Souls' job is to make sure that nobody from Alcudia can go too far north. RBN is doing the exact same in the south. He's making sure nobody from Alcudia wraps around the other side of the rock. And then BL and Santa, they're just focused on center circle. So Rock have set themselves up to cover all angles. It's really going to take a big play from D or Roth to give them a chance.
Alcudia are going to try and move over the hillside, but for 2 people, this is a lot of area to try and cover. Just switching back and forth. It looks like they are considering using the vehicle to make the move, but as of right now, I think it's just going to be a case of hugging the rocks, staying inside zone, not overcommitting and hoping that Rock decide to make the push towards you. Sometimes in these situations, it's a whole lot easier to defend than it is to get proactive and get aggressive, especially when Rock are just holding firm, as they currently are, as a 4-man, covering every angle, not closing the distance, realizing that ultimately at this point, it's their game to lose.
And the big problem for Rock, they don't have much utility. D's got a couple of nades, but they've only got 4 smokes between them. I think Roth only has a molly in his back pocket. So when it comes to utility, they're not really winning in this battle either, even with the numbers against them. So RBN, he spots them out. He knows that Roth considered moving this way. That'll force them back around the other side. The blue zone is forcing them in, but I think this game's a foregone conclusion. I would love to see Alcudia make an incredible play, but look at the way Rock have sent 3 players around to catch Alcudia on the retreat back the other way.
Oh, and Santa, he's got the line of sight. Big damage, big sprays. Now, surely you got to imagine that player who's a little bit close in the form of Souls is going to try and close up that distance, use the util to find a bit of damage, but he's not been able to. Santa's still waiting. Smokes are down. BL, Souls working together. They are closing in. BL's just going to send it straight through the smoke. Takes down D. The nade was in hand. Will not finish himself off, instead catching BL with a little bit of damage, but it's all down to Roth as the solo. He's got the MP5. He's completely running around here trying to catch them off guard, and maybe Roth will be the one who ends up defending instead of Rock.
Yeah, you look at this. Roth has played a big game of Ring Around the Rosie. The rest of Rock are now trying to follow in Roth's footsteps, but I think that Santa knows the jig is up. Stun grenades being thrown. Roth is going to go prone inside the bushes just below the hill, and there you go. Roth will find one. Can I get another point? I think he might just do it. Get your kill confirmed. You want to get top spot. You hear the footsteps. Panzer's going to get fired. It doesn't do any real damage. Roth now actually with a realistic chance, but Souls gets the kill. And it is a Rock victory. 22 points on the board.
Good try from Roth there. He managed to get himself an extra point out of it, but Rock were just so dominant in that game. As soon as they took that high ground position, you had to feel it was going their way. And 12 kills to go with it. That is an absolutely massive game for them. We'll take a look over at the highlights, refresh ourselves on everything that happened. And I've got to say, Gibson, considering how kind of start to finish that game was filled with action, I was really surprised that we saw so many players up still in Phase 3, because it felt like the game kicked off early.
Yeah, it kicked off early with a couple of brilliant kills, but the thing is, it wasn't really squad wipes we were getting. It was individual players getting caught out, so we were seeing tons of teams with low numbers as we got inside the late game. A couple of buybacks as well. Alo almost made something happen there with a sawn-off shotgun. But by the time we got to that final circle, it took so long because we were inside Phase 7-8 with only 2 players left alive, and a landmass so large that you could just play a game of Ring Around the Rosie on it. So, massive credit to Rock. They played the South, they worked their way in, they took the gunfights and cleared multiple engagements. But, for all Kudsia, is that enough now to wrestle away top spot from potentially dangerous?
Only time will tell. We'll take a quick look over at the leaderboard for this specific game, though, and it's no surprise that Rock are going to be up at the top end of things. Falcons putting in good work, and Alcurcia with 12 points themselves. The drop-off goes down a little bit when we get down to 55 Esports position, but the team that is really standing out to me in our final couple of games has been Tung Tung Sahur. They managed to pick up another 4 points, so they are eking their way closer and closer to those qualification spots. Only time will tell whether they're actually going to be able to make it.
They're still going to need like 12, 15 points to get over that line at the end. As we look at the overall leaderboard, we'll get a better idea. Yes, there's prize money up for grabs for the top 4, but the real question is who is going to be in the bottom 3 and not make it in. So at this moment in time, Phoenix, Tung Tung Sahur, and Enemy are all on their way out. They're not going to the Masters. They need to pick up 13 points at a minimum to catch Toyo. And Toyo is surely not going to be in a situation where they go out with 0 points, right? Right?
You've just cursed it, Gibson. Look, who knows? It is really close for qualification right now if you can consider the fact that a 15-point game is achievable. If you're able to get 5 kills and a win, you've made that jump. It all relies on teams like No Way, like Toyo, and also teams like AKA right now could cause problems. If you're a team like Team Mirror, sure, you're technically, already qualified, but you want to make a significant jump yourself, and, for Team Mirror, getting a 30-point game, for most teams you'd say, no chance. With Team Mirror, well, we've seen them do it multiple times, so we'll find out whether they can make that jump, get their way back into the prize pool, and ultimately who's going to take home the lion's share and who is going home empty-handed in our final game coming up in just a couple minutes. But we're going to take a break, and we will be back shortly.
Have you ever imagined creating your own PUBG game mode? Well, now with UGC Alpha, that imagination becomes real. All Plus users can create UGC Alpha sessions. Getting started is simple. Just go to Custom Match, UGC Alpha tab, then create your own session or join a friend's. By default, only the host can edit the mode, but editing permission can be granted to participants through settings. With UGC Alpha, you can place props, build custom maps, and set your own game rules. Anyone can join and play, up to 100 players per session. Want a simple but challenging parkour mode? Or maybe a chaotic deathmatch? You make the rules. You can save your creations anytime, or load them up later to keep building, even if it's not your mode. If you find a fun session while playing, just hit Save As and keep a copy for yourself. Need a head start? Try one of the official sample modes provided in-game. In the next video, we'll dive into object placement, movement controls, and how to bring your map to life. You can use the standard WASD keys to walk around. Double-tap the spacebar to switch to flying mode. Tap C to descend and space again to go up. Hit B to enter build mode. Now you can start placing props and devices anywhere on the map. To open the full editor, press P to launch the Edit Manager. Here, you'll see all available props, from walls and stairs to full buildings. Click any object, then press 0 to 9 to assign it to a quick slot. You can now press that key to place the object instantly. Need to fine-tune? Use E and R to rotate or scale. Use F and G to adjust distance. Press X to lock to axes, and Y to ignore collision. Want to test gravity? Just hit T to toggle gravity on your object. You can also copy, delete, or multi-select with simple mouse clicks and hotkeys. Next up, we'll show you how to set the rules of your game. Rounds, respawns, teams, you control it all. Let's dive into the rules setting. Press P to open the Edit Manager, then switch to the Rule Set tab. Here, you can fully customize your game logic. Set the number of rounds. Choose a score limit or time limit to end each round. Define how many teams play, anywhere from 2 to 100. Set team size, 1 to 10 players per team. Enable or disable respawn, and set its cooldown timer. Add invincibility after respawn for smoother gameplay. By enabling fill test players, you can spawn dummy bots to test whether your custom mode is functioning properly. If you'd like to play a solo game instead of a team match, simply adjust the team count and team size settings in the rule setting menu. For example, if you want a 100-player free-for-all solo match, set team count to 100 and team size to 1. Next up, we'll introduce the devices. Let's dive into the device setting. Devices are the logic blocks of your custom mode. They make things spawn, trigger, score, teleport, explode, and way more. Let's start with the core 4. The following 4 devices are essential for creating a basic game mode. Player spawn device controls where players appear. Player event device reacts to kills, survival, or any player action. Score manager device gives or removes score based on events. Round event device resets scores at the start of a new round. There are a variety of devices you can use, like triggering a red zone or setting background music. Feel free to get creative and use them however you like to build a fun and exciting mode. Trigger is when a device sends a signal to another device to activate it. For example, if you configure an enemy kill event in the player event device and connect it to the score manager device via the trigger tab, the player's score will increase when they get a kill. On the other hand, action is when a device receives a signal from another device to activate itself. If you set the player event device as the action target of a change score in the score manager device, the change score will be triggered by the signal sent from the player event device. Coming up next, we'll build a sample mode from start to finish so you can see how it all fits together.
Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. This year, we're introducing structured competitive play in third-person perspective mode for players of all ranks, levels, and ability. Here's how it works in EMEA and Americas. PUBG Players Tour competition is held in 2-week phases. Each week, you and your squad can compete in player scrims. Think of these as a great alternative to ranked play. Each day of scrims will feature a variety of maps, with defined team and lobby sizes to ensure a balanced best-of-3 rounds. Teams will earn points based on their performance, and daily leaderboards will track their progress. When the scrims are over, the top teams will qualify for the PUBG Players Tour Cups, where they will be joined by up to 10 invited teams, featuring some of the best players in the region. Players Cup leaderboards will track team performances across 2 days of play, with the top 8 squads progressing to the final round of competition. Players Masters are the pinnacle of the PUBG Players Tournament. 8 teams from each of the 2 cups will engage in fierce competition for a huge prize pool in each region across the PUBG Players Tour season. And for times when a Players Masters isn't scheduled, you can still get your PUBG Players Tour fix with Super Cups. These work just like Masters events, where again, 16 teams, 8 from each of the 2 previous Players Cups, compete for a share of the total cash prize pool. Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. You know the game. Be a player.
Game number 4, or I guess game number 8 of the Players Cup is underway. And well, this is a horrible playing path, isn't it? Are we going to get one of those splits that we saw yesterday that didn't quite happen, Gibson?
Well, you never quite know. It is a pretty rough flight path that we have going all the way down that west, finishing essentially due south. How would a milli circle suit you for the last map of the Players Cup? What do you think? Would you be about that?
I'd be all about that, but a milli Primorsk circle? Now that'd suit me even better.
You want to?
I'd take Zarky.
I'd take Zarky.
I'd take Zarky.
A George Bay circle would be nice too.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Honestly, I really like Primorsk circles. They're one of those where, like, usually off the phase 1 that you get, nobody thinks it's going to happen. And then as it shifts over there, it's like phase 2, and then like half or more of the circle is water, and people realize it's going to happen. And then somehow the ending never ends up quite in Primorsk. It's always on that kind of crossroad up to the north of it. And it might not be Primorsk, but it is a 50-50 circle, kind of. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, it's going to go down to milli base. Most of the circles on milli base, we know by now that this is a Milta circle, right?
I know what you're like. You're going... If this was mainly the main island with a little bit of milli, you'd be like, yeah, this is going to milli. You just want whatever's going to happen that'll cause the most inconvenience to all the teams in the lobby.
I'm just basing it over what we've seen in the Players Tour. And so far in the Players Tour, we have had, like, the most awkward, most unpredictable circles. So I always just bet on the least predictable one now. And I have a really high success rate now. I mean, this week has been a bit of a letdown, unfortunately. But Team Mirror, let's see what they can do as they hope not to disappoint, trying to find themselves a Panzer kill early on in the game. But it's actually going to be Alo with the MP5 to get the opening knock.
Yeah, Alo doesn't fall at the hands of the Panzer, and all of a sudden you've got a chance. Haven up above, he's got a Panzer at the ready as well. But for Alo, it's about buying time. Kurt's going to come and arrive, but as is Fana on the other side. So a battle on the north, a battle on the south. The Panzer's fired. Haven hits Pader. Alo won't get nothing. And Kurt's like, he wants to get out of there. He sees himself moving on and having a better future, but can't do so until he deals with Fana, who has the advantage. With this perspective, Fana's got a way better chance of killing Kurt than Kurt does of him. The micro Uzi, though, Chunks, at this sort of a range. Fana, if you hit this shot, I was going to say I was going to do something crazy, but I was like, actually, no, it's Fana. He could hit that shot, and I don't want to have to give away a kidney.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Fana wasn't able to grab that one, but you know what? They still got themselves an opening point, and they need it because Mirror have unfortunately disappointed this week, and that's tough for me to say because Mirror are so good. They are so dominant. Something about this week, it isn't working out. The only thing I can think is it is a weekday. Maybe like they're working 9 till 5s and they're tired and that's got something to do with it. Because I'll tell you one thing I've noticed. When I play PUBG after a day of work, it is a whole different story to when I'm wired on caffeine at the weekends.
Chunks, after last night, I got 3 hours sleep. I woke up, I worked an 8-hour day. Then I hopped on a broadcast that lasted 7 hours. And now I am here for PUBG. I am every
Yeah, but
bit
you're
as
not
tired
playing,
as...
are you?
Yeah, but I'm
That's
every
when
bit
it
as
hits
tired
you.
as these players. I'm every bit as tired as them. I feel bad for the ones that were EWC. They've got jet lag to contend with. You know, I think the time zone, if your West Coast is 7 hours. If you're way on over... Sorry, if you're East Coast, it's like a 7-hour time gap. If you're West Coast, I think it's like 10 or 11. So, Shrimsy, one of those players we spoke about, will look to find no way as they make their crossing and will land on the shore. Tickleton actually gets a knock on the DNL, by the way, but that time zone is rough.
Tiggleton finding the time to focus these shots. SBL does the same. Gibson's just flexing that he's a harder worker than everyone else. Let's be honest here.
No. We all know if there's a talent member who's the hardest worker out there, it's Mark Power. That guy works a day job. He's got a family. And I think Mark works 27 hours a day. 8 days a week.
Yeah. Mark is a beast. He does not get enough credit. He's putting in work for the EMEA scene. But you know what? You'll do your part as well.
I'll do my best. I will do my best as... Looks like No Way will get one res off onto Lopez. Sam Crow managing to get Lopez back on his feet, but you've only done half the task. You've made landfall. Now you've got to get off that beach, and that ain't an easy task to do here either, with all of Falcons and Rock looking your way.
Come on. Let's see it happen. I just saw one of the enemy players, by the way. They've also pulled out a mortar. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays into things. But right now it is just a red zone, and seeing as there's not many fights going on, we may as well hop on board with it, because we are yet to see a player actually get knocked by this red zone, and I am waiting for it.
Look, we had Denmark happen. It happened to them at PNC. That's enough. That is enough.
Must have missed that one.
I'm not a fan of it.
I'm annoyed.
I don't like the red zone knocks. Like it's not a bit of me. I'm not a sort of player who wants red. I want players to die either through getting into a gunfight, their own hubris, or just stupidity. Not from a red zone.
Like getting hit by a ferry.
Don't get me started on that again. That
who knows?
Oh.
Look, this is the kind of circle that we saw in that game, so let's not rule it out.
I think I giggled for about 20 minutes after that happened, and then somebody tweeted or somebody put a post on Reddit about it, and then I giggled again.
I think the best part as well is our production team were giggling like they're sending us the game on a 10-minute delay. It's why we get to interact with all you wonderful people. As Kickstart's just dancing, avoiding shots from Capitan, but our producers were laughing for the 10 minutes leading up to us being able to see it on stream. So I don't think you're alone in that one, and that's something, you know what, I never thought of doing myself before from Falcons here, actually putting the car onto the ferry. Why have I never thought about that?
You've not seen that? It's been a thing for a while.
I know it's a thing, but it's never crossed my mind to actually use this as a strategy.
Honestly, it's just because you've never had a Bugatti and you've never thought about transporting it safely from one spot to the other.
That is a fair point. I've never even had a car. I only have my little in-game Dacia. As RBN will be getting tagged up by Dan Shin, aka looking to try and find themselves an opening here. BL on a bit of a side angle. Could potentially be in no man's land, but it looks like it's going to be DZ in the end, who is caught out. As BL will find the knock, and yeah, no chance of getting the revive there unless they pick up his blue chip and head over to a respawn beacon.
Yeah, that's Zinni down and out, aka though they're safely through to the Masters. Remember, there is quite a lot of money up for grabs this weekend. $20,000, 18 maps, Friday to Sunday, and we're still trying to work out who the final teams to qualify were. Only 3 teams in this lobby will not make the Masters, and at this point, if I'm not wrong, there's a 15-point gap that they need to close. So if Tung Tung Sahur, Enemy, or Phoenix fall, they will not be playing this weekend. And when that happens, then we can focus on who's taking the most money out of this qualifier. $400 up for grabs. And at the end of the day, the way I look at it is, Chunks, this is a qualifier. Most qualifiers have no prize pool. This is a little bit of money for 8 maps over the course of 2 nights. It ain't a bad little lift.
No, it certainly isn't, especially if you're consistently playing in them every week in, week out. And just while we have a moment, remember anyone can sign up to take part in the Players Tour. Now, the registrations are currently closed, but if you think you stand a chance of qualifying for the Players Cup, you could find yourself in a situation like this where only the bottom 3 teams in a lobby won't qualify.
On, by the way?
You could make it to a Super Cup, or I guess now just a Masters. As yeah, you pointed this one out. Alcurtia were just completely chasing Snakers through Yasnaya, bearing in mind this is pretty much entirely a military circle.
Yeah, I just looked at that and my brain was like loading, going, this is the blue, this is Yaz, this is a milli circle. What in the PUBG is going on? As AKA will still look to get over that bridge. They can't cross it yet, because if you do, you're giving free kills up to Rock. Liquid, they're now leaving George. They'll make their way in as we shift desperately towards the south. And PD are in a great spot. Remember, PD lost stranglehold of top spots. They are now looking to regain it, get back on top of the leaderboard, and get that money in the bank. And I've just noticed there's a boat hit going on as well way down to the south. Phoenix went way into the blue, and they're moving in from that southern side.
Yeah, and it looks like No Lego are probably going to do the same as they pull up over in Primorsk. What I will say is they are currently seemingly looking around for a boat. I think this is where Phoenix have actually come from. So they might have got all the way down to Primorsk, discovered that there's not actually a boat, and now they have to rethink how they approach this one. But for a team like Rock that now have to make a rotate, the question becomes, do you want to prioritize position? Or do you want to try and hold out teams from moving in from the north? Because obviously they don't have the minimap, but we do. We've got 3 teams all rotating south of Yasnaya now.
And guess what? You can have the mini map too! Exclamation mark map in chat will give you the link to the map feed. And if you've got yourself a second screen or a device that you're not using, you can get the map screen up. And you also said you can sign up. Chunks, I think that after this, we've only got one more Players Cup cycle before the final Masters of the year. So if you want to take part, you've only really got one more chance to do it. So after this weekend's Masters, registrations will open up again, and you can try to take part in the last cup, which will qualify you for the final Masters, which, if I'm not wrong, is inter-regional. The Americas versus EMEA. And you know that that's going to be a fun one.
It certainly will. It's going to be exciting when we get more details about exactly how it'll unfold, because, you know, typically the only time you see a cross-regional event is when you see those global lands, so we can really prove that Americas is the dominant region. And I know that me and you, Gibson, we're both from EMEA, but I think we both have that soft spot for Americas in our heart, and we're going to be rooting for them.
Well, look, I got my big break in PUBG in the Americas, so I will always have a soft spot. And I've been told by Chan anyway, I'm an adopted North American at this point. Benja, he gets a knock on the H when Shroomsy's going to fall in short order behind his kickstart. We'll trade one back, but remember, Toyo, currently the team being hunted down by the teams that aren't inside the top 13. Adria, C4 in your hand. I'm not quite sure what you're planning to do with that, my friend, but Tiggleton will strike back and knock on to Benya. And Toyo, Capitan, he's inside the red. He needs to fight back. Adria will confirm out an extra point, and that need not quite good enough. Forces Adria back into cover. Can Capitan find a knock? No, he can't. Tiggleton's just better. A nade to Adria, a spray to Capitan. And just like that, Toyo are down.
Tiggleton, nicely done. 4 kills on the board, making it 5 now for Falcons. H-Win out of the fight, though. And there's only 2 res beacons inside the circle. I don't think either of them are going to be super viable. I mean, I guess C block's free, so they could go for it. But now we'll see where this circle goes. There's a huge amount of water still in play, but the hard shift isn't necessarily guaranteed. And we're actually heading a little bit down to the east of center, but all in all, it's relatively donutted on itself. And there's so many teams still up north. You saw LG, they headed over towards Milter. Instead, they've now realized, okay, there's teams on the bridge, we got to go to the west. Rock, aka, both need to make their move across, and I mean, it's just a war of attrition now. Who's going to run out of meds first? Who has to be the first team to make the push?
This is like the least gentlemanly holding the door open for someone you're ever going to see. It's like, you go first. Nah, trust me. You go first. No, after you. And then Judo Gladiator's like, no, I'm sorry. Oh no, Tung Tung Sahur. They are running into a ambush.
They got BRDM.
Yes. Yeah,
who cares?
One of them's not in it. That's the problem.
Look, you got 3 players in a BRDM. As long as there's no Panzer waiting for you, you're good. Tiggleton, bad news, there's a Panzer waiting for you. 8 HP, Zico will be able to finish off the job as he looks over to find a second player from Falcons, forced to reposition in the building, hoping that his teammates will be able to provide some support. Really nice play there from Shrimsy, throwing out the flashbang, baiting him into peeking the window and able to find the kill off of it. Bielli tries to move in, but the BZ nade, I don't think it's going to do the damage he quite hoped.
Yeah, blue zone thrown. Shrimsy, though, has left the building as he pushes behind the wall. Got one player not too far away. This is happening just by that little hospital over by Millie base. As things stand, though, Shrimsy got Kickstart coming in for some support. He's coming from the silos just to his south inside of Millie Island itself. But Resme, one close by, Valiant up on the hills. Oh my god, Shrimsy. Big Bolty is going to get the knock on to Spectro, and Falcons, they have given themselves a real chance in this fight.
Kickstart's found the off angle as well. He's going to throw the nade over towards the suspected position of Spectro. It doesn't quite land, but ultimately, Falcons now as a 2-man, Valiant going to have to try and get down this hillside to provide any support. Shrimsy, he's already found himself a bolt knock. He's going to be looking for another. Spectro getting flushed out. Biella and Valiant both left up, and Valiant rocking that VSS with the zone closing in on his back. Shrimsy finds it, and it's down to a solo.
He's just better. He's just better. Get that man knighted like Sir Shrimsy to the people in chat as he is on 501 damage. There's one last player standing, and well, they know exactly where he is. They're trying to bounce the nades to perfection. Vox will do a little bit of damage as well, I think, from afar. But Kick, he's going to peek around the corner. You can see the shield. The blue is at his back. But what a performance this is from the 3-man. And there you go, another member of Falcons rejoining the fray. They want top spot. They want to take it away, and they go up to 8 kills.
Falcons now going to play it back into the fight, but look at this. No Lego and the blue zone working together to finish off Alcudia. Only going to be D left up, and he is far away from the rest of his team. I'm not sure exactly how that happened. Maybe they just got taken out when running over to the building for cover, but no Lego going to be in a good position. 55 could say the same for them. They're heading very central inside this zone, but a little bit further to the north of them, we have No Way and Enemy both head-to-head as Team Mirror start to flex over towards LG.
Yeah, and LG, remember, it's been a better day 2 for them. Day 1 didn't go to plan. Alcudia are wiped out in 13th place. That means that it's just a straight-up race between PD and Falcons now for top spot and bragging rights going into the weekend. Lopez for No Way. Sam Crow, his teammate, has been down, and oh no, Anzira is getting very, very close now to No Way, but by putting his foot in that accelerator, he will give away his position to Lopez.
Zera looking down the hill, trying to find those players, but it's Lopez that he needs to be cautious of. Archery turning around, he hears the vehicle from Rock as it barrels down the hill. He takes a single shot, but it's Lost In who's going to be able to find the knock onto Santa. Will be getting flushed out, so that's the second kill point on the board for Enemy. Another team that needs to have a strong performance to be able to qualify. And right now it is so difficult for the teams down at the bottom end. Zera decides not to peek as he gets shot from long range, but there are kills just waiting for him down below.
Enemy need to win, and so do Phoenix. But the problem for Enemy is they're on a busy side of the circle. Like, you've got a 55 not too far away, Noego as well. Like, that is points that you can find, yes, but the opportunity to pick up all those points while still remaining a 3-man at this point is going to be incredibly difficult. Looks like in military base on the bunker as well, Mira have got PD, at least half of the PD split to contend with, as Tiggleton will take... Falcons are back up to a 4.
Yeah, they are. I was just wondering why Shrimsy was running out into the blue. I think he's maybe marking the body and getting ready to pick Tiggleton up.
Yeah, they're back up to a 4. Tiggleton and the rest of Falcons are looking to do this one as a victory lap in the final game of the night. But as we said, you've still got a couple of teams alive that can breach their way in. Tung Tung Sahur, yes, they've got a chance as they come into the zone now. Enemy 2 and a Phoenix, but they all need to get the win if they want to get into that spot, because at this moment in time, there is a clear line drawn with the fact that Toyo have been eliminated.
Kickstart trying to pick up some more kill points for Falcons, but he will be getting knocked by Sparkin as Fana gets knocked by his own teammate. Haven catched him with the spray as he was trying to hit shots over towards the vehicle. Pops down the smoke, should be able to get the revive onto his teammate, but needs to be careful because PD are directly below them. Lucky that PD didn't hear that one come out, but I think they're actually going to be provided some extra cover because of the fact that PD can't really push out of here, at least for now. Time will tell as the circle is shifted over to the east and it's about to start making a move.
Remember how we said earlier that Tung Tung Sahur have themselves a BDRM? Didn't really go very well for them, did it? It's just one player left alive,
did it.
and his Dacia has been destroyed. DNL, though, he's got a line of sight over towards Falcons for no way. Another team right on that bubble of qualification. They will have seen Toyo fall earlier, and no, they just need to get more points than them now to secure their spot at this point in time. But speaking about teams that need points, do you see it right now? Pipa getting very close to Phoenix on the southern side.
Yeah, this is a wide split from Pipa, heading far away from the rest of his team, but he's just trying to get that angle to call out the info. On the other side of things, by the way, Falcons, they've started making a push over onto the same hill that PD were trying to take. Both teams taking vehicle sends, but Falcons currently rocking a 2-2 split. Kickstart tries to land some long-range mini shots. He's only got 60 bullets out in that MP5, and it burns through ammo oh so quickly. Nicevon preps the flash. Looks like he wants to try and make the push. Maybe with the support of Sparking, they will be able to make something out of this one. Tiggleton, he's still anchoring behind, trying his best to cover, but it's Himsy popping off again, getting another 2k. Kickstart finds the third. It's only going to be one left up now for potentially dangerous, not for long, but Team Liquid, they've got into nade range. They are punishing and they are doing a lot of damage on the third party.
Bullying, absolutely bullying the lobby now are the Falcons as they pick up another couple of kills. Now, Tig has been flushed on the other side, so his rejoining of the lobby only lasts so long. Kurt gets caught out as he steps inside his own blue. It does the damage, and that's kill number 14. He can go back now to try and arrest. Well, never mind. Sparking gets that kill on to Shrimsy. Phoenix lose one to the blue as well, so at this point, Phoenix's charge looks like it is all but
surely not
an end. He'll throw the nade down in the distance and Kickstar. Why not? Why the hell not? Falcons playing the game on easy mode. And just like that, with Phoenix falling, we can confirm your 13 teams going through to the Masters is confirmed. So Phoenix couldn't do it, nor could Enemy, nor could Tung Tung Sahur. So Toyo and the boys will just about make it in.
Let's not forget, though, there is still that wiggle room up at the top end of things to get yourself a bit more of that prize pool. And I'll tell you what, Falcons are certainly going the right way around it. They've only got Kickstart left up, and sure, they've made a few recalls this game, but I think it's beyond the scope of reality right now. It's Phase 6. There's no chance of Kickstart getting his teammates in, but I think there is a good chance that a team like Mirror, who are currently just holding that southern road, could try and make a rotate towards his position. The vehicles are completely lit up as 55 Esports with the high ground, pinning these final 3 players down. Haven's a little bit closer to the front as LFP holds back further, but now it's just a waiting game to see which team kicks the fight off first. You have to imagine in some way it's going to be No Way or No Lego. It's 55. They actually start to third party onto this one, looking to make a rotate, make the crash.
Yeah, this 55, they've seen all the kills that Falcons have gotten, so they probably know that they're not going to catch Falcons at top, but they can definitely get that second spot away. LFP from Mira will find the knock on the Lopez, looking all the way off into the distance, and that might just open the door up for the rest of 55 to make the push. BL doing the dance of the rock, but Kerak with the Dragonov will find BL as DNL wants to confirm that kill away. He wants it for himself, but he's coming under fire from everywhere. And yeah, Kickstart with another kill. Falcons farming at this point in time. LG, everybody inside the Love Shack as they'll be pushed now by the members of Team Mira. Well, Chunks, this has just been as good a game from the Falcons as we've seen, even with one player left alive.
Really strong performance from them. LFP takes down Snake as Michael's going to be there to trade it. No Lego. Go down in 6th position as Michael tries to peek up, spots the player out in the open, finds yet another knock, goes to confirm on the flushes, knowing that every point is going to count in this situation. Haven throws out the nade, hoping to get lucky, tags Michael down low, but it's not enough to finish the job. And Kickstart lighting up Haven. One more bullet would have done it. He's close to 20 kills for the team at this point. This is absolutely huge. Out comes the flashbang from Michael as the smoke starts to dissipate. He runs back over to the hard cover that he has. Snakers is still alive, but he is not. So if Michael wants to get the res, he has to think about doing it soon. Molotov going to be a little bit short. Flashbang comes out, but it's Psycho that third party finishes off LG, and Haven's made it into the top 3.
It's a 4v1v1 now. 55 with all 4 players back on their feet, or at least should be pretty soon. 1,092 damage for Kick so far and 7 kills. Make it 1,146 with another headshot found. He knows this is a 2-point kill. If he can get it onto Haven, Haven is probably thinking, yeah, I'm just going to go down to the blue. No real point in me moving in any further from this point because I'm just in a shooting gallery. So Kick, could you possibly take on this 1 versus 4 against 55 and get out of here with a win?
He's got 7 points on the board so far for his team. That's 17 kills for Falcons is absolutely huge. That's not even taking into account the placement points that they've been able to get. But as of right now, Kickstart is not inside of the next zone. It's about to start moving. I think his priority right now is take down that final player from Team Mirror. He realizes that 55 aren't looking to push him. He takes a couple shots, but that is just going to draw 55's attention over in his direction. So it looks like Haven has been spotted as well. So it's just a question of who outlasts the other here. I think the likelihood of either of these players being able to win the game is pretty slim, but also we got to give credit to 55 because they've got 11 points on the board, 11 kill points, I should say.
Yeah, but it's not going to be enough to usurp Falcons at the top because of how good they have been, as 2 teams now look to take out the final member of Team Mira. 5 kills for them and at least the top 3 in this game. It's been a better return to form, and RN0 will pick up that kill and Falcons will get at least 2nd point. RN0 knows exactly where Kick is from this point in time. Can 55 close out the 13? Psycho's closing the gap. Kick is getting hunted down. They should get this one over the line. But stranger things have happened in the wild, wacky and wonderful world of PUBG.
Kick's alive, he's looking the wrong way. Psycho finds it and gets himself yet another kill on the board. So it's 55 Esports with 13 kills. And I gotta say, so many of the kills sponged up by so few of the teams. That was, what, 30 kills taken between final 2 teams? That's not even taken into account teams like Mira, who got themselves a bunch of kills on the board. So a really impressive and ultimately aggressive final game to wrap up the Players Cup. And it all kicked off, ironically, with Mira losing a player to ALO, but they were able to salvage it. They came out on top of the fight and they made it all the way down to 3rd place.
Yeah, the 22 points for Falcons, 17 kills and 5 placements, getting them a ton on the board. But you said it, between the top 3 teams in that lobby at the end, they killed over half of all the other teams still alive. Shrimzy, he just went beast mode here, demon mode with the M24 for a little while. Here's another clip. Bye-bye. Hello, Valiant. Good night, Valiant. And then he does a little bit of dancing on the corpse as Kick gets the kill. Shrimzy will drop it like it's hot, and then Zig from Enemy put in some good work up on top of the hill. But this is where Kickstart came in clutch, right? The hipfire MP5 doing serious damage.
The only problem is he ran out of MP5 ammo, because obviously if he had more MP5 ammo, if he had more 9mm, then he actually would have gone round and won that game with 21 kills. But either way, a really impressive game, and there's only 1 point between Falcons and 55 Esports. Team Mirror have definitely stepped things up this evening, and honestly, all the teams that were down at the bottom end of the leaderboard yesterday have really started to stack up more points, which is good to see, and that's the beauty of the Players Tour, isn't it? Anyone can take part, anyone can qualify, anyone can work their way up, but not just anyone can qualify for the Masters. Let's take a look at the overall leaderboard after that one, Gibson, and just confirm what we all suspect.
Yeah, congratulations to Team Falcons. 95 points. We'll see them gather top spot in a couple of $100. 55 getting second spot, like we said they could do with a win. Al-Qudsi in third, and PD will round out the points as far as money is concerned. And then congratulations to the teams that have qualified. If you see a yellow mark on the left side of the leaderboard, it means that they were already qualified from last week. So this week joining the fray will be Falcons, Al-Qudsi, Rock, Liquid, Luminosity, Resmi, Toyo, No Way. All joining the other 8 qualified teams already to take part in a $20,000 competition this weekend.
Yeah, these are the teams that are confirmed in, and a very impressive way to wrap up this week's set of games. And these teams don't have long until the Masters. It's only coming up this weekend, so not a lot of turnaround time. But I gotta say as well, you know, the teams that made it through last week are gonna have a real tough time, because there were so many of these squads that were out at EWC last week, so they weren't able to take part. It's really gonna be an interesting Masters to compare the teams that are really the best in the world with those who, I don't want to say had an easy path, but an easier path than we typically see in the Players Tour. In terms of prize pool distribution, though, it's Falcons who take the lion's share, but 55 Esports going to be taking 300 their own now. Curtia with 200 and PD with 100, which is disappointing for them given how strong they performed yesterday.
Yeah, disappointing, but the main thing is they are already through. Falcons with 69 kills. That's 21 kills more than 55. Almost, yeah, just over 3,000 more damage than anybody else in the lobby. And 2 minutes more survival time than everybody else. And it just goes to show how fortunes can swing, because PD were dominating those stats yesterday. But like I said, they find consistency difficult to get. And is it any surprise at all to see Tig with 24 kills over the course of 8 maps?
No, he has absolutely popped off today. Kind of playing as a bit of a solo player, I'd say, for Falcons. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he was going out and just completely ignoring his team, but he was consistently playing those off angles, catching squads off guard. But ultimately, it was Shrimzy that stole the show for me. Yeah, sure, Tig had that amazing play with the Bugatti, but it's so happy to see teams actually start to utilize the bolts. And I think Shrimzy demonstrated really well just how effective they can be. But Gibson, that is it for us this evening. We know which teams are going to be qualifying, which teams are going to be playing in that $20,000 Masters this weekend. And it's getting late, so I think it's bedtime for us. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and we will see you all next time.
also be a soldier.